Chapter 1390. Night Sorrow didn't react to the arrival of the Shinwu Great World's army. The various armies were already fully prepared for war. Night Sorrow was concerned about whether the formation he had set up had been discovered. The Shinwu Great World's army was advancing at an extremely slow speed. They were integrating their forces as they advanced. Integration was an indispensable part of a joint battle. Night Sorrow had already completed the integration of the Reincarnation World's army. However, the Shinwu Great World's army still needed time to integrate. Previously, they were all fighting individually. Now that they needed a large-scale joint battle, they needed to be integrated and mobilized. Everyone knew that the Battle of Scarlet Origin City would be recorded in history. It was a heavy stroke because this battle would change the situation of the war. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. Perhaps the opponent's army's combat strength would increase after they were integrated. However, this situation also existed in the Reincarnation World's army. Moreover, the Reincarnation World's army's combat strength had more room for improvement compared to the Shinwu Great World's army. This was because they were all cultivating the joint attack formation. The Reincarnation World's army was stationed outside Scarlet Origin City. The Heaven Masters were all on the city gate. If it wasn't a battle between Heaven Masters, they could only watch without any room to make a move. When Night Sorrow wasn't around, they had to make arrangements for the army's mobilization. Now that these matters were handed over to Night Sorrow, they didn't care and didn't ask about it. Qing Emperor, our Sima manor has benefited from you this time. After learning your joint attack formation, we will definitely make it up to you in the future. Sima Tiancheng said. Red Emperor and Li Badian also had the same thoughts. The joint attack formation wasn't that difficult, but no one had researched it. Now that their army was cultivating the joint attack formation, it was a favor. Actually, the level of the joint attack formation isn't very high. However, I've seen it and its effects are indeed very strong. Why didn't I think of this problem before? Red Emperor said. You have to return this favor to Night Sorrow. The joint attack formation is his, not mine. Qing Emperor said. His combat strength is outstanding, and his style of doing things is domineering. With such a personality, he can still study array formations? Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance said in astonishment. Not only is he good at research, but he's also very accomplished. He's already an advanced Heavenly Adept Array Master. He's also an artifact refiner and alchemist, Qing Emperor said with a smile. All-round development. That is very tiring. However, if you achieve something, you don't have to ask for help, the Red Emperor said with a smile. Then I'll show off to you guys. Night Sorrow is also an advanced Heavenly Adept weapon forger and alchemist. You guys can go to him if you need anything, but if you want to work for him, you'll have to pay the price, Qing Emperor said. Qing Emperor, when it comes to recruiting disciples, no one can compare to you. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. How many disciples have each of you taken in? It took me so many years to get to. It's not easy, the Qing Emperor said. Seeing that the enemy's army was advancing slowly, Night Sorrow ignored them and returned to his tent to continue cultivating the indestructible golden body of merit. Although he didn't have enough light of merit, Night Sorrow's body had been baptized by the light of merit. His energy circulation was also filled with a majestic aura. On this day, Night Sorrow had just finished cultivating when a guest came. It was the Marquis of Qingyi, Lin Qingyi from the Shinwu Great World's Heavenly Moon Pavilion. What are you doing here? Night Sorrow asked Lin Qingyi after hearing Jun Xuanji's report. To watch the battle. Lin Qingyi spat out 2 words. That's because it's appropriate to go there, right? Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. It's not appropriate. Because the Heavenly Moon Pavilion withdrew from the Realm War, they are now more hostile towards each other. Why? Don't you have the magnanimity and courage to do so? Lin Qingyi, who was wearing a red robe and a white veil, asked. Yes, please. Night Sorrow nodded. He saw that Lin Qingyi's eyes were very clear and felt that she didn't have any ulterior motives. Night Sorrow brought Lin Qingyi to the command tent and made a pot of tea. He didn't say anything. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion has all retreated and won't participate in the realm war. So you don't have to look at me with hostility. I'm here to see if the first monarch of the world of Samsara or the Shinwu Great World is more powerful, Lin Qingyi said. You'll be viewed as an enemy. People in the Shinwu Great World will think that you're a traitor. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Qingyi and said. I have a clear conscience. I don't care. Lin Qingyi said. If you don't care, I don't care either. Xuanji, since you're here, you're a guest. I'll arrange accommodation for you next to your tent later, Night Sorrow joked. Night Sorrow didn't care about Lin Qingyi. Lin Qingyi stayed in the Nine Heavens Army's camp alone. Night Sorrow knew that she wasn't a spy and didn't ask about it. She could do whatever she wanted. After a day, while Night Sorrow was reading information about the Shinwu Great World, Lin Qingyi came to Night Sorrow's command tent. She made tea for herself and poured a cup for Night Sorrow. If you can take down Prince Jianhu, you'll win the realm war if there are no changes. Starter square root, hee. How did you come to such a conclusion? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Your Nine Heavens army is very strong. No other army in the Shinwu Great World can compare to it. Whether it's power or spirit, it's all on point, Lin Qingyi said. Thank you for your praise of my brother. Yi Shan cupped his hands towards Lin Qingyi. I'm just speaking the truth. After the war, you can come to the Shinwu Great World. I, Lin Qingyi, will take care of you, Lin Qingyi said. I have to go. The war won't end so easily, Night Sorrow said. You want to fight? Lin Qingyi was stunned when she heard Night Sorrow's words. She thought of something. Since you've guessed it, I won't hide it from you. Do you think we'll just take a beating and be done with it? Either they completely defeat us, or they don't defeat us and beat us up, and then they just walk away? That's impossible, Night Sorrow said. That's the reason. I have nothing to say. Lin Qingyi sighed. If Tianhua Pavilion doesn't join in, I can make the decision that the Reincarnation World's army won't enter Tianhua Pavilion's territory, Night Sorrow said. Tianhua Pavilion doesn't do shameless things. A loss is a loss. If you kill without a bottom line, we won't do anything. My master's side will also have the same attitude, Lin Qingyi said. Alright, you can watch the war as a VIP. If the Zhanwu dynasty and Martial's Sacred Palace want to fight, I'll fight with them to the end, Night Sorrow said. What kind of grudge do you have against each other? Why would they join forces to fight? In the end, the grudge war turned into a realm war, Lin Qingyi asked. It's a long story. The Martial Sacred Hall wanted to seize the treasure. Back then, a few forces from the world of reincarnation launched an attack on the Azure Emperor dynasty. As for the Zhanwu dynasty, I can only say that they're shameless. They wanted to marry the princess of the Qing Emperor's dynasty by force. Who do they think they are? They're asking for a beating, Night Sorrow said angrily. Speak. The first watch arrived. Chapter 1391. After being stunned for a moment, Lin Qingyi asked for the details. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything. He told her about the conflict between Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger and the Qing Emperor during his wedding, as well as the declaration of war by the Martial's Sacred Palace. What a disgrace. You really deserve a beating, Lin Qingyi said with a cold face. Therefore, this war must be fought. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't expect that there would be people in the Shinwu Great World who could understand him. Then may I ask, since the Martial Sacred Hall has declared war on you, do you have a Heavenly Tao artifact? If you do, let me see it. I definitely don't have any disloyalty. I just haven't seen it before, Lin Qingyi said. It is indeed the heavenly artifact, but it is incomplete. It has the effect of accelerating time. My original body is using it to cultivate, so you can't see it for the time being. Night Sorrow said with a smile. There was nothing he couldn't say. He could survive in the face of a heaven master. Who could kill him and snatch it? This isn't your original body? No matter how strong the doppelganger is, it is only a part of the original body's combat strength. If the doppelganger is so strong, then the original body must be even more powerful. The gap between us is huge. Lin Qingyi sized up Night Sorrow. You are going to fight with your original body? Aren't you afraid of being destroyed? Night Sorrow asked Lin Qingyi. I am not afraid. I have life-saving means. Even if I encounter a strong enemy and get killed, I can protect my soul. Although I am seriously injured and need a long time to reconstruct my body to recover my cultivation, it is still a guarantee, Lin Qingyi said. My original body needs to cultivate and comprehend will. Therefore, I can only send my doppelganger to fight, Night Sorrow said. In fact, the original body and doppelganger could be detected by soul inspection. However, it was impolite to do so rashly. Generally, no one would do so. If there is a chance, I will see your heavenly artifact. Let's see how you fare in this battle. Lin Qingyi nodded. I have to say that your position is very dangerous. If you are here, it won't be good if the people of the Shenwu Great World see you. Maybe you don't care, but it will bring a lot of trouble. For the sake of the gentleman's battle, I will remind you to disguise yourself, Night Sorrow said to Lin Qingyi. Look at Jie Jingji, version of chapter, section 1. Lin Qingyi thought about it and nodded. She understood what Night Sorrow said. After that, Jun Xuanji left with Lin Qingyi and went to another tent to rest. Night Sorrow drank tea and pondered. For example, if War Tiger Prince and his doppelganger were to fight together, the battle would be a bit more difficult. Exhaling, Night Sorrow stood up. So what? He wasn't even afraid of the mandala, so why would he be afraid of him? After calming down, Night Sorrow began to cultivate the invincible golden body. After 5 days of peace, the army of Shenwu Great World arrived outside Red Origin City and faced off against the army of Samsara Great World. The Shenwu Great World Legion was located in the area where Night Sorrow had set up the formation. Uncles, you know the area where I set up the formation. After the battle starts, don't worry about anything else. Just insert 2 spirit stones into the formation and the formation will be activated, Night Sorrow said to Summer City, Shangguanhong, and Xian Daozi. The 3 from Summer City nodded. They knew that the real bloody battle was coming. It was the core battle of this realm war. Datura came to Night Sorrow's side and said, be careful during the battle. There's no need to go all out. You still have a lot of room for improvement. You still have a lot of clones to fight, and your battle strength isn't at its peak. Aluo, don't worry. It's true that I'm using a clone to fight, but not just anyone can injure me. Go tell my master and the others that I'm going to be ruthless this time, so their heaven overlords might interfere, said Yishan. Night Sorrow was worried about this. When the Shenwu Great World Legion suffered heavy losses, the other party's heaven masters might interfere. Datura nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was going to be ruthless this time. If the other party couldn't withstand it, it would be a huge loss for them. After that, Datura went to communicate with the other heaven masters. What do you mean? Are you worried that the other party's heaven masters will interfere if the other party suffers heavy losses? Sima Tiansheng looked at Datura and asked. Yes, so we have to make some preparations, Datura nodded. This is a good thing. Our main body and clones are all here. If Night Sorrow can succeed, then we have to consolidate our strength, Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow was very calm. He also notified the various army commanders to prepare for battle. Are you very calm? Lin Qingyi came to Night Sorrow's side and asked. Not really. I'm very excited. There aren't many fighters like this. I don't care about fame, but I want to know who's the first sovereign, Night Sorrow said as he looked in the direction of the Shenwu Great World Legion. I don't know who's stronger between you and Prince Jianhu, but I can say that given time, you'll definitely be the first sovereign, Lin Qingyi said seriously. Maybe I'm the first sovereign now. Night Sorrow smiled. He was confident in himself. Night Sorrow knew that the other party wouldn't fight today. They would first show off their momentum and pressure the soldiers of the Reincarnation Great World. Then, they would officially fight. The Shinwu Great World Legion indeed didn't start fighting directly. If this method works on us, then our Nine Heavens Legion won't be able to survive, Jun Xuanji snorted coldly. Don't mind it. Some people can think about it, Night Sorrow said and returned to his tent. Night Sorrow returned to his tent and sat down to meditate. At this time, no one would ambush him. There was no point in ambushing him. Who wouldn't be prepared? Moreover, the next battle would be the battle between the strongest sovereigns. Whoever ambushed him would be at a disadvantage. Dawn. The sun didn't appear. The clouds in the sky were very low. Strong winds swept away the clouds and churned above the battlefield. The atmosphere was very somber. This was the most important battle in the realm war. It was very important to the reincarnation Great World, so it was normal for the weather to be different. At this time, the Shinwu Great World Legion moved forward. Following this, a burly middle-aged man with golden hair and a red ribbon appeared riding a silver dragon. Night Sorrow's body flashed and landed on Ice Cheelant's back. He also walked out of the Legion's camp. Night Sorrow, come out. I, War Tiger Prince, will kill you today, War Tiger Prince shouted towards the reincarnation Great World Legion. Seeing Night Sorrow come out and shout, War Tiger Prince did it for the sake of momentum. He didn't need to talk about his personal needs, but the soldiers of the Legion needed it. Today was not only a battle between sovereigns but also a battle between legions. I thought you were a hero, but now it seems like you're just a so-so. Your thoughts are useless. Nine Heavens Legion, are you afraid of battle? Night Sorrow pointed at the sky with his right hand and shouted. We are invincible. Kill all who come. Nine Heavens Legion. Invincible. The Nine Heavens Legion shouted out two slogans. Night Sorrow looked back and nodded in satisfaction. He then looked at War Tiger Prince and said, use your strength to speak. Speak. Update 9. Actually, the most awesome slogan was, 10,000 troops, not a single blade of grass will survive. Update 10, 10:20 a.m. There were a few blackouts today. I had no choice. Chapter 1392. Prince John who glared at Night Sorrow. Because of Night Sorrow's simple sentence, his plan to build up momentum had been foiled. Don't try to play tricks with me. It's meaningless and makes you seem childish, Night Sorrow said coldly. Don't say such useless things. Once I kill you, everything will be solved, Prince John who said with narrowed eyes. If you can survive in this world with your mouth, then I have to say that you will do very well, Night Sorrow looked at Prince John who and said. Then you can die. Prince John whose body shook. He flew off the silver dragon and charged at Yishan. Yishang's feet trembled as he rose into the air and flew towards Prince John who. The battle between the strongest monarchs had officially begun. Both of them are top-tier monarchs. This is a battle of fate. Someone is destined to rise, Li Tian who said. Can you speak? Night Sorrow will rise from this battle. He will be unrivaled among the monarchs. Datura stared at Li Tian who. Haha. My mouth doesn't know how to speak, Li Tian who said with a smile. I have confidence in Night Sorrow, Qing Emperor said. At this moment, Night Sorrow and Prince John who began to fight in close quarters. Prince John whose blade slashed at Night Sorrow's sky rend. After a loud explosion, the two separated. Night Sorrow only retreated 5 or 6 feet because of the splash of energy. However, Prince John who was sent flying 200 feet because of the impact. This caused the spectators to be very shocked. The cultivators of Shinwu Great World all knew that the sky-devouring tiger race was extremely strong. However, when compared to Night Sorrow, a human cultivator, they were at a disadvantage. After repelling Prince John who, Yishang knew that he had the upper hand in terms of strength. Night Sorrow unleashed a linear cut on his protective shield as he rushed forward. Once again, he used the Void Extreme Strike. Following an explosion, War Tiger Prince was forced back a distance, but it was better than before. He swung his saber at Night Sorrow. Prince John, whose battle blade was very long, about 6 meters long. It was wrapped in gray energy, which was the energy of time. Come on. Let's see how powerful your time energy is. Let's see what you're going to use to kill me. Night Sorrow's Nihility willpower suppressed Prince John, who and then used Nihility Extreme Point to kill him. The sound of energy explosions continued to ring out. War Tiger Prince was forced back by Night Sorrow's attacks. In terms of strength, Night Sorrow had the advantage. In terms of speed, Night Sorrow also had the advantage. In addition, War Tiger Prince had the advantage in attributes. It was only natural that War Tiger Prince would be suppressed. This was the restraint of strength, speed, and elemental laws. Everyone was very surprised. Originally, everyone thought that they should be evenly matched. Even if one was stronger, it would only be by a bit. However, the battle proved that it was not the case. Other than the initial slash, War Tiger Prince was passively defending. What's going on? Overwhelming him? Red Emperor said with some surprise. He can fight with Datura Chinensis and not lose. That means he has the strength to fight against a big shot. War Tiger Prince is not enough, right? Gap, this is the gap. His foundation is deep, but who knows how deep it is? Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Night Sorrow did not feel any pressure as he suppressed War Tiger Prince. You want to kill me? This bit of strength is not enough. Continue. Night Sorrow fiercely pushed War Tiger Prince back and then shouted. You deserve to die. After being pushed back by Night Sorrow, War Tiger Prince's eyes were bloodshot. He had lost face. He was Shenwu Great World's #1 monarch, but now? He was being suppressed. After letting out a low roar, War Tiger Prince's body flashed and a doppelganger appeared. It also held a battle sword and attacked Night Sorrow. Afterimage Body. Night Sorrow used Afterimage Body and then attacked War Tiger Prince's doppelganger, which was relatively weaker. Figures flew and energy surged. Night Sorrow and War Tiger Prince began to fight in the air above the battlefield. The winner has been decided. War Tiger Prince's original body and doppelganger are fighting together. If they can't take down Junior Brother's doppelganger, what right does he have to be called the strongest monarch? Jean Tan snorted. She was already dissatisfied. Night Sorrow was fighting with his doppelganger, but his opponent was fighting with his original body and doppelganger. Although Night Sorrow was only a doppelganger, he was not at a disadvantage. The Afterimage Body was controlled by his soul. Although it did not have any attacking power, it could dodge attacks. In addition, Night Sorrow's strength and speed were suppressing War Tiger Prince, so the battle was still evenly matched. Damn it. I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left. War Tiger Prince was getting more and more angry. His original body and doppelganger were fighting together. If they could not take down Night Sorrow, it meant that they were not as good as Night Sorrow. Look at the original chapter. You only know how to talk. Can't you say something more nutritious? Night Sorrow replied. Tiger Roaring Wave. War Tiger Prince's original body and doppelganger retreated a little. Then, both of them opened their mouths and roared at Night Sorrow's doppelganger. It was an ultimate skill, a sound wave attack. There was no such thing. In the information that Night Sorrow had read, War Tiger Prince did not have such an ultimate skill. Caught off guard, Night Sorrow's doppelganger was all shattered. Swallow the Sky. After dispersing Night Sorrow's doppelganger, War Tiger Prince used his ultimate skill, Swallow the Sky. He first used the Tiger Roaring Wave to break Night Sorrow's doppelganger. Then, he used his ultimate skill, Swallow the Sky. When fighting against normal monarchs, War Tiger Prince only needed to use his doppelganger or his original body to use Swallow the Sky. However, he knew that Night Sorrow was very strong. So, he used both his original body and doppelganger together to kill Night Sorrow. War Tiger Prince's original body and doppelganger both opened their mouths. Two gray energy whirlpools swept towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's space-time willpower burst forth. The space-time energy shield kept vibrating. Stalemate. With the space-time willpower suppressing War Tiger Prince's Swallow the Sky, War Tiger Prince's energy whirlpools did not affect Night Sorrow. The two sides were in a stalemate. Lord God Tiger stood up. He felt that the situation was not good. This was War Tiger Prince's strongest move. If it could not do anything to Night Sorrow, then they would not be able to win this battle. After a moment of stalemate, Night Sorrow made his move. His willpower and energy instantly switched. They became void willpower and void energy. At this time, War Tiger Prince's doppelganger's Swallow the Sky whirlpool came close to Night Sorrow's body. It was immediately destroyed. Night Sorrow's body flashed as he followed the pulling force of the energy vortex released by War Tiger Prince's true body towards War Tiger Prince. Great Emperor Cycle Slash. When he got close to War Tiger Prince's original body, Night Sorrow used his ultimate skill. A battle of life and death was not for learning. It was for killing. Now, Night Sorrow wanted to kill War Tiger Prince because he had killed many people. Among them, there was demon blood that Night Sorrow was familiar with. A purple halo exploded. It rushed through the gray energy and enveloped War Tiger Prince's head. Then, with a whistling sound, Sky Splitter pierced towards War Tiger Prince's head. Speak. The 10th update has arrived. Today's 10th update has ended. Thank you, brothers. Congratulations, brother, for leveling up to Black Diamond. Rest for a while, then repay brother and continue. Chapter 1393. In previous battles, Night Sorrow had not dared to fully unleash the will of the void. He had always been secretive and had not been able to fully display its might. But now, he was no longer afraid. If a Heaven Master attacked him, he would be able to survive. Thus, he no longer had any scruples. Using the will of nothingness as the main body of the Great Emperor Reincarnation / the power was much stronger than before. The purple light directly melted the gray space-time energy from Prince John-Hu. After passing through it, it enveloped Prince John-Hu's head. Seeing that it was effective, Night Sorrow quickly attacked with the Space Slicer. The energy from the Space Slicer pierced through the gray energy whirlpool and through Prince John-Hu's forehead. Prince John-Hu's head was destroyed without a sound. Night Sorrow's body flashed and his left hand grabbed Prince John-Hu's storage ring. He then turned around to face Prince John-Hu's clone. Are you going to use this strength to shout that you want to kill me? Your original body is dead. Night Sorrow waved the Space Slicer and charged towards Prince John-Hu. Prince John-Hu's body flashed and he immediately ran. How would he dare to fight? Both his original body and clone were not a match for Night Sorrow. Now that his original body was destroyed and only his clone was left, he no longer had the ability to fight. Night Sorrow's body flashed and he began his pursuit. Since there was a chance to kill, he would naturally take it to his death. You're courting death. Heaven Lord God whose body flashed and he flew towards the area where Night Sorrow and Prince John-Hu were chasing. You're the one who's courting death. Datura, who had been observing the battle, flashed and arrived at the battlefield. He waved his hollow blade and slashed towards Heaven Lord God Hu. However, Night Sorrow wasn't able to catch up to Prince War Tiger. It wasn't that his speed was inferior to Prince War Tiger's, but that the distance between them was too short. Prince War Tiger was rushing towards the Divine Martial Great World's Heaven Master camp. No matter how bold Night Sorrow was, he could not run into the Heaven Masters of the other party. Seeing Prince John-Hu run back, Sky Lord Shen-Hu dodged Datura's blade and also retreated. He knew he couldn't beat Datura. Why are you running away? Aren't you going to kill me? If you continue to be so arrogant, I'll kill you. All of you, listen up. This is the Reincarnation Great World. It's not a place where you can behave atrociously. Prince John-Hu, remember this. I'll kill your true body this time. The next time we meet, I'll kill you thoroughly. Night Sorrow pointed at War Tiger Prince and roared. Datura also retreated to Night Sorrow's side. Kill. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. The furious War Tiger Prince roared. Upon hearing Prince John-Hu's command, Shenwu Great World's army charged towards Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens army. Kill them all? Very good. Nine Heavens army, fight. Night Sorrow waved his Sky Lord and gave the order. If Prince John-Hu wanted to kill them all, he wouldn't hold back either. At this moment, the Heaven Masters of the Reincarnation Great World were floating in the air and staring at the Shenwu Great World's Heaven Masters. They were not allowed to interfere in the war between the armies. The first release of the war started and both armies started to move. Summer City, Shangguanhong, and Xian Daozi avoided the enemy's attack path and reached the array formation area. They used the Saint Spirit Stone to activate the array formation. The array formation was activated at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, it covered the Shenwu Great World's army that hadn't rushed out of the area. Night Sorrow's men moved. The Sky Heart Army and Sima Army on the left and the Bloodthirsty Army and Black Evil Army on the right all rushed out and attacked the Shenwu Great World's army. Nine Heavens Army and Yuanshu Army followed Night Sorrow and attacked the War Tiger Army. God Tiger, you better not move. If you move, it won't be as simple as a realm war. No matter how big our losses are, you guys won't be able to return. Qing Emperor looked at Lord God Tiger, who was also in the air. Lord God Tiger's eyelids twitched. He wanted to attack, but he couldn't. Some things were beyond his expectations. He was on par with Datura. Other than Sandalwood and Qing Emperor, others couldn't stop them. If they fought, there would be casualties. This was something he couldn't bear. The battle between the armies was intense. However, the Reincarnation Great World's army had the absolute upper hand, especially the Nine Heavens army. They were in groups of 3 and 5, and their killing power was extremely high. Those who were targeted by them would definitely be killed. Lord God Tiger looked at Datura and the others, but he couldn't do anything. He could only watch as the soldiers of his army were killed. Defeated. Lord God Tiger knew that they had lost this battle. After War Tiger Prince was killed, the momentum of the Shenwu Great World had already dissipated. In addition, Night Sorrow's array had trapped a portion of the people. The remaining portion couldn't withstand the full force of the Reincarnation Great World's army. Retreat. Heaven Monarch Shenhu shouted. You want to retreat? Chase after them. Yi Shang gave the order once again. When Prince John-Hu had shouted that he would kill all of them, Yi Shang had been infuriated, so he would not be polite now. The Shenwu Great World's army retreated. Night Sorrow led his men to chase after them. Night Sorrow wasn't a murderous person. However, he knew that now wasn't the time to be merciful. If he was merciful now, the Shenwu Great World's army would still have strength and fight again. Black Evil Army, stay behind. Send a message to the Green Qilan Army, Green Phoenix Army, and Chiwa Army to come back. Trap the troops in the array. Night Sorrow turned around and shouted to the Black Evil Army. He led his army to bypass the area where he set up the array. He ignored the soldiers of the Shenwu Great World who were trapped and started killing the soldiers of the Shenwu Great World who were retreating. The battle was very intense as they chased after them. The soldiers of the Reincarnation Great World were in high spirits. This was because this was the first time they had fought a battle to their heart's content. The leaders of both sides were also moving. They were above the soldiers who were fighting. Neither side made a move. There was no need for Qing Emperor and the others. They didn't need to make a move. The battle was already won. Lord God Tiger and the others couldn't make a move. If they made a move, Qing Emperor and the others would definitely make a move. After chasing for half a day, Night Sorrow gave the order to stop the chase. Because they could no longer chase after them, the Divine Martial Great World's legions had all been scattered. Retreat. Night Sorrow led his army back to Red Origin City. Red Origin City was still in a mess. When Night Sorrow arrived outside Scarlet Origin City, he saw that the Black Fiend Legion, the Green Phoenix Legion, and the Green Chelan Legion were surrounding the array formation. Those who charged out of the array formation without resisting would be captured, tied up, and thrown to the side. Those who resisted would be killed. Surround them. After I release the array, kill those who resist. Those who don't resist, capture them first. Night Sorrow said as he released the array. When the array was released, the soldiers of the Shenwu Great World saw the reincarnation Great World surrounding them. How could they resist? After capturing all of them, Yishang returned to the big tent in the barracks. After Yishang entered, he saw that Lin Qingyi was there too. A complete victory. Just as I expected, Prince John, who wasn't a match for you. It seems like you didn't use your full strength when you fought with me. Lin Qingyi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Speak. First update. Chapter 1394. Your Excellency, you think too much. I was just lucky, Night Sorrow said. It's not luck, it's strength. Your world of Samsara won and they lost the ability to continue fighting. That's strange. Why didn't you bring your men to the Thunder Cliff? That's their stronghold for attacking the world of Samsara. If you took it down, wouldn't you gain more benefits? Lin Qingyi said. Your Excellency, I have my considerations. If we took down the Thunder Cliff, the scattered soldiers of Shenwu Great World would not be able to return. If they stayed, it would affect the peace of the world of Samsara. Therefore, I gave them a chance to go back, Night Sorrow said. Your Excellency is very awkward. You can call me Qin Ho. That's what my friends call me. Besides, if you don't pursue the victory, you will lose the opportunity to fight. When the people of Shenwu Great World leave, the teleportation formation will be destroyed. Won't you suffer a loss? Lin Qingyi said. She felt that Night Sorrow's move was a mistake. It was a mistake that the #1 commander of the world of Samsara should not make. Go. Qin Ho, actually I have other arrangements. Is it only the teleportation formation that they set up? The world of Samsara also set up a teleportation formation when the war started. I know you don't care about the realm war now. It doesn't matter if I tell you. When they leave and the teleportation formation at the Thunder Cliff is destroyed, it will be impossible for the Shenwu Great World to enter the world of Samsara. In the future, I can fight whenever I want, but they can't. Today's battle is just the beginning of the realm war for me, Night Sorrow said as he brewed a pot of tea. You have a flawless plan. I used my own thinking to measure you. That was a mistake. Lin Qingyi laughed self-deprecatingly. I just made a secret move in advance. It's more effective. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Lin Qingyi. A secret move. You made one secret move after another. Today's trap and kill formation directly reduced the combat power of Shenwu Great World by half. It allowed the world of Samsara to win this turning battle with a small loss, Lin Qingyi said. We caught a lot of people today. I don't want to kill too many people. What do you think we should do with these people? Night Sorrow asked Lin Qingyi. What do you think? Lin Qingyi looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. There was no need for Night Sorrow to tell her about these things. If you can arrange it, I can hand that person over to you. I don't have any other requests. Just don't harm our reincarnation Great World and don't participate in this realm war. Once the realm war is over, they can go back, Night Sorrow said. You're still so kind. I think you're quite ruthless today. Lin Qingyi didn't understand, because the current Yishang was completely different from the Yishang who had fought on the battlefield. It's different. That's war. I didn't kill, I was merciful. Those who died were my brothers. Now that the battle is over, there's no need to continue killing. Participating in the realm war is not a crime in itself. They might have been fathers or sons. It doesn't matter if they die, but what they leave behind is the grief of their families, said Yishan. You're right. Leave these people to me. Lin Qingyi nodded. Uncle Xian Daozi, bring Qing Ho over. Tell him that I want all the captives to be handed over to Qing Ho, Knight Sorrow said to Xian Daozi, who entered the tent. Just as Xian Daozi and Lin Qingyi left, Knight Sorrow's body shone brightly. It was a golden light. Meritorious body. The moment the meritorious saint changed, Knight Sorrow understood. He had won this battle for the reincarnation great world. He had become a meritorious saint in the reincarnation great world. The meritorious light in his body was very strong. The 9 regions world would be a supreme world like the reincarnation great world in the future. However, it was not possible now. Therefore, the meritorious light in the meritorious saint of the 9 regions world was not enough to support him to become a meritorious saint of the reincarnation great world. However, after this battle, Knight Sorrow had enough merit to become a meritorious saint. Moreover, it was not the same feeling as when he had just become a meritorious saint. It could even be said that the light of merit he had obtained this time made Knight Sorrow not far from becoming a meritorious saint. Knight Sorrow thought about it and understood. This was a realm war. It was a battle between the reincarnation great world and the Shenwu great world. He had killed Prince Zhanhu, which was a turning point. He had also led his army to victory and laid the foundation for the realm war. It was reasonable for him to have great merit. After getting used to it, Knight Sorrow stored the light of merit in his body and went to the city lord's mansion. At this time, the heaven masters had all returned and were drinking tea and chatting. When they saw Knight Sorrow, they all smiled because Knight Sorrow had made a name for himself. The first monarch of the Shenwu great world had fought together with his clone, but Knight Sorrow had killed the first monarch. They were not on the same level at all. Knight Sorrow sat down beside Datura. Then, the Qing Emperor asked Knight Sorrow what he wanted to do next. Knight Sorrow told the Qing Emperor and the others about the arrangement of the captives. That's good. It's okay to kill them during the war. After the war, it's not appropriate to kill the captives. It's immoral. You can arrange it as you see fit. The Qing Emperor said. Master, I plan to attack the Shenwu Great World after stabilizing the situation. The victory of the realm war is important, but the stability of our reincarnation great world is more important. Knight Sorrow expressed his thoughts. We have no objections. The army of the reincarnation great world will be under your command now and in the future. Sima Tianqing said. This was his attitude. In the reincarnation great world, the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the Dark Abyss, and the Red Emperor's empire were all on the same side. The Black Fiend Valley was also riding on Knight Sorrow's coattails. Everyone knew this and the Li brothers didn't mind. First, Yuandao Heavenly Lord also said that the Yuanshu army would be led by Knight Sorrow. Therefore, Sima Tianqing's attitude was the final decision. Okay, I won't favor one and discriminate against the other. I'll treat it the same. Knight Sorrow made a promise. Knight Sorrow, there's bad news. According to the spy of the Dark Abyss in the Celestial Sect, Lord of Heaven God who went to the Celestial Sect. However, we didn't find out what he did or what he discussed. Datura said. This is an unstable factor, but we can't act directly now. Let's ignore them for now. Next, we'll reclaim our lost land and stabilize it. Then, we'll attack the Thunder Cliff. After the reincarnation great world is stabilized, we'll go to war. The Zhanwu dynasty and the Marshal's sacred palace must pay the price. We must let them know that there's a price to pay for provoking others. Knight Sorrow said. After communicating with everyone, Knight Sorrow returned to the tent and rushed to the place where the captives were held. At this time, Lin Qingyi was talking to the captives. She said that the realm war was different from the grudge war. A loss was a loss. She told the captives to settle down and that they could go back after the realm war. Seeing that everything was stable, Knight Sorrow returned to the tent and asked Red and Blue to be on guard. He began to cultivate and study the newly advanced light of merit. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you, brother. 4. I don't know. Shui Jing unsealed yesterday's chapter. Thank you, brother. Yesterday, you gave me an essential oil and 2 strength pills. Chapter 1395. There were many things that Night Sorrow didn't need to worry about. Once he set the direction, there would be people to carry it out. Just like now, the post-war reorganization of the army was arranged by the commander and the general. Those who came to find Night Sorrow and found out that Night Sorrow was cultivating would deal with it themselves. If they couldn't deal with it themselves, they would go to the city lord's mansion to seek advice from the Heaven Masters. He's still cultivating at this time. It seems like there's a lot of room for improvement, Red Emperor said. He came back to participate in the war right after he advanced, so there's still a lot of room for improvement, Qing Emperor said. He has already risen and his momentum is unstoppable. He can protect himself in front of a Heaven Master just after he advanced. After he stabilizes and improves his will, his strength will be no different from a Heaven Master, Sima Tianqing said. So when he's cultivating, there are some things that we have to deal with. We have to support him fully. Precious Fragrance Heaven looked at Datura and said. She admired Datura's foresight. He was able to discover that Night Sorrow was a talent at such an early stage. Also, everyone get ready. After the situation stabilizes, Night Sorrow will lead people to counterattack. We have to deal with some auxiliary problems, Qing Emperor said to the group. Night Sorrow was cultivating the immortal golden body in the tent. It was to integrate the light of virtue into his body and circulate it with the energy in his body. In the past, he couldn't cultivate it because he didn't have enough light of virtue. Now that his light of virtue was abundant, he could naturally do it. After 6 days, Night Sorrow completed the integration of the light of virtue and the energy in his body. The true immortal golden body was cultivated. Walking out of the tent, Night Sorrow nodded to Hong Yi and Lan Ning. Thank you for your hard work these few days. Hong Yi and Lan Ning were king. In the past, they were experts. However, they couldn't keep up with the pace now. It wasn't that they couldn't do it, but the level that Night Sorrow was facing was getting higher and higher. Therefore, they were now Night Sorrow's bodyguards and followers. After exiting the tent, Night Sorrow went to the place where the captives were. When Night Sorrow arrived, Lin Qingyi appeared. Everyone is here. I've already told them to stay here for now. Those who are injured will heal, and those who are not will cultivate. It's not easy to be a soldier. Life and death battles are inevitable in a world war. Once the war is over, it's a different matter. I'm a soldier, so I respect every soldier. If you need anything, you can come find me, said Yishan. Looking at Night Sorrow, Lin Qingyi nodded. She now understood why the 9 Heavens Army, the #1 army in Samsara world, could still crush the martial army. It was because Night Sorrow had the heart of a soldier. Xuanji, you'll be in charge of this place. If there's a need, just satisfy it, Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji, who had rushed over. Jun Xuanji nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was busy, so she had to take over these matters. Night Sorrow was now the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. She was the military counselor of the Allied forces because she was Night Sorrow's most capable assistant. Night Sorrow went to each army and called all the commanders and generals to the commander-in-chief's tent. Although we tried our best to avoid it, there were still some losses. Those who were seriously injured need to be treated, and those who died, we need to compensate them. I will speak to the leaders of your respective forces about this, Yisaro said as he looked at the commanders and generals of the various armies. Everyone bowed to Night Sorrow. Those who could lead soldiers to war naturally loved their brothers. Night Sorrow's words struck a chord in their hearts. This is the aftermath. Besides, the world war hasn't ended, so we can't just attack the Shinwu Great World and leave when we can't win. We have to give an explanation. I'll fight. Everyone here is willing to do so, Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about the others. The 9 Heavens Army will definitely fight, Nu Lin said. The Devil Blood Army will fight too. Later, Shushua and I will ask the Lord to fight. I believe the Lord won't have any objections, the Devil Blood commander said. Commander, Yufeng will send a message to Master immediately. I believe he will agree, Yuanshu armies, Yufeng said. Night Sorrow then told everyone to go back and prepare. Those who were willing to fight could gather in 7 days. After the commanders and generals left, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. He guessed that all the armies would fight. After all, no one would be willing to take a beating. After drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow went to the city lord's mansion. When he arrived, he found that all the commanders were there. Seeing Night Sorrow, all the commanders bowed to Night Sorrow. Is everyone here? Yi Shan opened his mouth and greeted them. Night Sorrow is here. Come and sit, Red Emperor nodded to Night Sorrow. I'm here this time because I have something to tell everyone. I'm the leader of the Realm Battle Army this time. Many of them died in battle, so I have to give them an explanation. I hope that everyone can compensate the soldiers of your respective forces. We have to respect those who died fighting for the realm battle. Yi Shan clasped his hands at the Heaven Masters present. Of course. They all died for their beliefs. We all understand. Sima Tianqing nodded. We can't do anything about those who died in battle. I hope that the forces of the armies can take care of the families of the soldiers who died in battle, Night Sorrow stated his request. Red Emperor, Sima Tianqing and the others nodded in agreement to Night Sorrow's request. Night Sorrow's request was reasonable. In fact, even if Night Sorrow didn't say it, everyone would do the same. It was just that there might be a difference in strength. Also, they're all here to request for battle. What do you think? Qing Emperor said. This depends on the situation of each force. Those who can and are willing to fight should fight. Those who are unsuitable or unwilling should rest and recuperate. Master, disciple and the 9 heavens army must fight, Night Sorrow said. Forever and ever. Master will support your decision. Qing Emperor smiled and nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow was insistent. Night Sorrow, you're too distant with your thoughts. What is a realm war? A realm war is a war for everyone in the world. Some people don't work together because of their differences. We'll definitely fight. Xiao He, before the realm war ends, the Sima Residence's army must cooperate with Night Sorrow's deployment. Even if we have to fight to the last man, Sima Tianqing said to the commander of the Sima Residence, Xiao He. Night Sorrow, our Black Fiend Valley naturally has nothing to say. If you want to climb a mountain of blades, we won't hesitate at all, Li Tianba said. Red Emperor also stood up and expressed his attitude. Night Sorrow bowed to Li Tianba and Red Emperor, a few years ago, because I wasn't calm enough, I hurt the two of you. Night Sorrow will pay for it. Night Sorrow knew that he wasn't wrong. Sometimes, he wasn't wrong, but he needed to be humble. If he could untie the knot in other people's hearts, he didn't mind paying a little price. After all, he killed someone else's son. Speak. Third watch. Chapter 1396. It's all in the past. I can't blame you. This is fate. I didn't teach you well. You don't have to take it to heart, said the Red Emperor. Forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. We're friends now. It'll hurt our relationship if we talk about the past. The Red Emperor looked at his 2 sons and said, Night Sorrow, you're wronging yourself by saying this today. You have the potential to be the leader of a force. I'm very happy to hand the Red Emperor's army to you. Tianxin, Chiwa, let's not talk about the past. Cooperate well in battle. Understand? Akatsuki and Chiwa nodded. They knew that it was all in the past. Their father had let it go completely. They also knew that Chidu deserved it the most. After settling things, Night Sorrow left the city lord's mansion and returned to the military tent. Night Sorrow had just sat down when Yufeng arrived. Yufeng told him about Lord Yuandao's attitude. Lord Yuandao's order was that the Yuanshu army would listen to Knight Soro's orders until the end of the realm war. Nu Lin, the Yuanshu army is quite far from Yuandao. It might be inconvenient to resupply them. Take a portion of our 9 Heavens army supplies. Medicine and resources must be provided, said Knight Soro to Nu Lin, who was also in the tent. Commander Knight, you're too polite. We'll bring the resources. There won't be any shortage. The Yuanshu army will accept your kindness, said Yufeng with a bow. After settling matters, Knight Soro went for a walk with Datura, who came to accompany him. Lord Yujun and Qing Yan ran home. They want to tell their mother and aunt about their father's might, said Datura with a smile. Hashtag the only genuine article, the others are all thieves. Version, they're still children. They'll still be children when they grow up. My original body has been cultivating. When it can't cultivate at a high speed, I'll come out. We have to have children too, said Knight Soro with a smile. Okay, we want children too. Datura blushed. In fact, Datura had long thought about this. She wanted to give birth to a child for Knight Soro. I can feel that your aura has changed. There's a sense of peace within the righteousness. I'm not the only one who feels this way. When you left the city lord's mansion earlier, everyone else said the same thing, Datura said to Knight Soro. I've gained a lot from this realm war. In the reincarnation great world, I've become a sage of merit. I've also fused the golden light of merit into my body. You know how I cultivate my body. After fusing with the golden meritorious light, I already have an indestructible meritorious golden meritorious body. Because I cultivate the leakless body, if people don't look carefully, they won't be able to detect it, Knight Soro explained. What is a virtuous sage? It meant that he had obtained the approval of the heavenly Tao. His words and actions carried the aura of the heavenly Tao, and he carried a majestic aura. Very good. Becoming a virtuous saint through virtue. A virtuous saint from a major world is incredible, Mandela said as she looked at Yishang. Ah Luo, I feel that I'm not far from becoming a virtuous grand sage, Knight Soro said with a smile. Good things should be shared with family. Then hurry up. A virtuous grand sage is even more powerful. He can crush king even without cultivation. Datura looked at Knight Soro excitedly. Can you hurry up? You can't do it intentionally. Letting nature take its course is in accordance with the heavenly Tao, Knight Soro said. Datura nodded. She also understood that doing good on purpose was just a small act of kindness. It wasn't considered much merit. Datura told Knight Soro to be careful in the future. He had destroyed Prince Zhanhu's original body, which meant that he had destroyed Prince Zhanhu's future. It was equivalent to destroying one of the great leaders of the Zhanwu dynasty. I know. Ah Luo, you should be careful too. Datura Chinensis is a hidden danger. This hidden danger must be dealt with. Knight Soro was worried that Datura Chinensis would appear again. After all, she was an opponent who hid in the dark and could strike a fatal blow at any time. I know. The most difficult thing about her is that she can hide her aura. Great leaders can't sense her aura. The last time she came, we couldn't sense it. Now, it's difficult for her to do anything to the two of us, so we have to be careful of our family's safety, Datura said. Before you married me, you didn't have any weaknesses. Now, your weakness is me and our family. Now that I've entered the monarch realm, it's difficult for her to do anything to me. I think the only place she can do anything to is our family, Knight Soro said. My clone is in the mysterious sky world, cultivating in and not far from the teleportation formation. She can't threaten Seven Nights City. I'll know when she reaches the mysterious sky world, Datura said. She had already thought about Knight Soro's worries. Ah Luo, switch between the original body and the clone. The original body will go there and the clone will stay outside. The original body must be safe. We don't have children yet, Knight Soro said. Didn't I tell you? My original body and clone are similar. As long as your original body comes out, both my original body and clone can do anything. The clone can't have a partner. The heavenly law doesn't work on me. In other words, if you marry me, it's the same as marrying two wives. Of course, their minds and souls are the same, Datura said. I understand. Does the same thing happen to Datura chinensis? I don't know if it was the clone or the original body last time. Night Sorrow exhaled. Datura was strong, which meant that Datura chinensis also had heaven-defying abilities. It's not the same. Datura chinensis doesn't have a branch, so she doesn't have a clone. She only has the original body. However, she has some special skills that I don't have. She knows the art of seduction. Last time, you were alerted, so she didn't have the chance to use it. Also, she has strong life-saving skills. You have to pay attention to all of these. Most importantly, don't impersonate me to trick you, Datura said. You and I are husband and wife. Who would impersonate you? Even if they look exactly the same, there's still a lack of feelings. If I mistook you as my wife, wouldn't I be letting you down? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Not necessarily. I have too many similarities with Datura chinensis. If she's more cautious, it'll be really difficult for you to tell, Datura reminded Night Sorrow. I understand. I know where her nest is. We'll go take a look later. If she's still there, we'll get rid of her once and for all, Night Sorrow said. I'll listen to you. For the time being, we have to win this realm war first. The Zhanwu dynasty and Battle God Palace have to be dealt with. We have to beat them into submission. Murderous intent appeared in Datura's eyes. She was gentle and considerate in front of Night Sorrow, but after suppressing a region for so many years, the domineering and murderous intent on her body were already ingrained in her bones. I still have to tell Master and the others that we can't just send an army. If the other Heaven Masters take action, our armies won't be able to return, Night Sorrow said. Datura told Night Sorrow that on this issue, the Qing Emperor and the other Heaven Masters had already reached a consensus. The primordial Heaven Master had also informed them and agreed to send a clone to fight. After hearing Datura's words, Night Sorrow was relieved. The Zhanwu dynasty was very strong, but so what? He wanted to fight the realm war to the end. Speak. The fourth update has arrived. Today's update completed. Chapter 1397. Deterrence. Night Sorrow needed a deterrence. Without the deterrence and restraint of the Heaven Masters, the other party's Heaven Masters would have no scruples. With the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation, Lord Shenhu and the others would not easily make a move. Of course, it would be useless even if they did. With the support of Qing Emperor and the others, Night Sorrow felt that there was no problem. Now, the army is reorganized and assembled. If there is no problem, we can go to war, Night Sorrow said. Go out and fight. We must make a name for ourselves. We must let everyone know that the Nine Heavens army is not to be trifled with. We must let everyone know the name Night Sorrow, Datura said. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. He did not care about personal fame because he did not lack anything. After chatting with Datura for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the commander's tent. Commander, when are we going to war? Jun Xuanji asked. After the army is reorganized, we will go to the Shenwu Great World. I don't have a map, so I can't plan tactics and strategies. So, we must first fight our way in and then send out scouts to collect information, Night Sorrow said. We can send out scouts now, Jun Xuanji said. Your Highness, I will bring a secret guard to scout. This may save a lot of time, Summer City, who had been sitting on the side, said. Summer City, Xian Daozi, and Sheng Guanhong were all with Night Sorrow. Okay. Xuanji, go to the Angry Lin army and gather a team of scouts. Go with Uncle Xia and the others. The Nine Heavens army must guard the teleportation portal. I will go too. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow made a decision. Once the scouts entered, the war would begin. If the scouts were caught or met with an accident, the location of the teleportation portal would be easily discovered. So, once the war began, the teleportation portal must be guarded. Forever Free/CPJ. After making his decision, Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to teleport to the Shenwu Great World. The teleportation array that Xian Daozi had set up was located in a remote mountain range in the Shenwu Great World. Night Sorrow had the Nine Heavens Legion set up camp in a defensive position. After arranging the army's base, Night Sorrow set up the command tent. Not long after it was done, the teleportation portal flashed. The Qing Emperor and the other big shots all appeared. Night Sorrow, if you have made a decision, you should tell everyone how dangerous it is for you to bring your men here, Misty Rain said. Mistress, I know I was wrong, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Let's not talk about you anymore. Go do your thing. We'll find another place to camp, Qing Emperor said. Knowing that Night Sorrow was leading his men to the Shenwu Great World, the big shots followed him without hesitation. Now, Night Sorrow's importance to the Reincarnation Great World had surpassed the big shots. He was now the commander of the Reincarnation Great World's coalition army, the number one person under the big shots. Night Sorrow was the number one person under the big shots. The title of the strongest monarch was not given by himself. It was recognized by everyone. If something happened to Night Sorrow, the Reincarnation Great World's momentum would fall to the bottom. In fact, Night Sorrow's fame was not only in the Reincarnation Great World and the Shenwu Great World, but also in the Xuanhuan Great World. Tang Bo, Tang Xian, and Tang Yi were all very excited. Everyone should be like Night Sorrow. His heroism and boldness make my blood boil, Tang Bo said excitedly. That's because he has the strength. Without strength, how can he be heroic? He will be destroyed by others, Tang Yi said with a smile. This is a realm war. We can't take part in it. Otherwise, I really want to fight with him. That's what men should do, Tang Bo said with some yearning. What's wrong with being a woman? Brother, you're wrong. Tang Yi was a little unwilling. Among the three siblings, Tang Yi was the youngest, but she had the highest cultivation talent. She was the first one to reach the monarch realm. It's a slip of the tongue, Tang Bo said with a smile. Every war is accompanied by the rise of elites. This is the usual practice. However, not everyone has the opportunity. Without strength, you will be easily chopped into pieces, Tang Jianfeng said. Tang Bo and the other two nodded. They could understand Tang Jianfeng's words. Times create heroes. If you don't have that talent, then it's useless. Looking at his confused children, Tang Jianfeng added. Father, what do you think of this realm war? Tang Yi asked. If nothing goes wrong, Shenwu Great World will lose, Tang Jianfeng said. Then, Tang Jianfeng analyzed the situation and the current advantages and disadvantages for his children. The strongest monarch and the strongest army were in the Reincarnation Great World. If the Heaven Masters didn't take part and didn't make any major mistakes, the Reincarnation Great World would win. As for the Heaven Masters, the Reincarnation Great World wasn't afraid. Night Sorrow was born in a small world. He has commanded many realm wars. In addition, he led the Qing Emperor's army in the Reincarnation Great World many times. He is very talented in this aspect. He won't make any low-level mistakes. I think the most important thing is the battle between the Heaven Masters. They are the ones who can decide the outcome of the realm war, Tang Yi said. If the Shenwu Great World's Heaven Masters were confident, they would have taken part in the battle in the Reincarnation Great World. Lord of Heaven God who was suppressed by the Dark Dominator. Blood Emperor Sandalwood completely suppressed their second Lord, Lord of Heaven Origin who. Therefore, they didn't have the confidence to take part in the battle. Lord of Heaven Yuan Shu and the Qing Emperor are the best among the Heaven Masters. Battle requires strength, Tang Jianfeng said. Lord of Heaven God who was slapped in the face this time. He initiated the realm war but was beaten back. If he loses the realm war, he will be embarrassed, Tang Bo said. They have already lost all their dignity. It's best if we win, but it doesn't matter if we lose. If they are cowards, the reincarnation great world will kill them. After all, no one wants to start a battle between heaven masters, Tang Jianfeng said. That was the truth. Fights between heaven masters were usually due to enmity and to snatch fortuitous encounters. Although the outcome of the realm war was important, it wasn't to the extent that they had to fight to the death. Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army into the Shenwu Great World. The other armies received the news and entered as well. Night Sorrow's military order was for all the soldiers to cultivate the joint attack array as soon as possible. This way, they could avoid losses when the battle started. Night Sorrow's philosophy was to put people first. He didn't want to suffer any unnecessary losses. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow went to the tent of the Heaven Masters. Now, the Heaven Masters were very relaxed. There was a big tea table in the middle. They were all sitting and chatting. There were extra chairs, which were Night Sorrow's seat. In other words, Night Sorrow had a seat at this level. Night Sorrow wasn't a Heaven Master, but he had the strength of a Heaven Master. Sit down and drink some tea. Make the arrangements. Someone will do it, Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance said. Thank you, Heavenly Lord. Night Sorrow is here. I have something to tell everyone. Leave the army to me, and I don't want to see any of my brothers fall. So, there are some things that I need everyone's support for, Night Sorrow said as he sat down. Speak. First watch. Chapter 1398. Just say it. As long as we can do it, it's not a problem. Sima Tianqing said. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord who just arrived nodded. Everyone, take out your best healing and life-saving resources and give them to your armies. I can guarantee that you won't lose out, because I'll snatch back all the resources that you've used up, Night Sorrow said, revealing the purpose of his trip. Night Sorrow, you are a cultivator of the body of merit. You even do things like robbing? Red Emperor looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. What's wrong with robbing? I am a cultivator of the world of reincarnation. The Shenwu Great World has a grudge with me. If I have the chance to cut their flesh, I will naturally do it. Night Sorrow said. Go. Red Emperor, your news is outdated. Night Sorrow has already become a saint in the world of reincarnation. Datura said with pride because that was her husband. A body of merit had appeared in the world of reincarnation before. However, it did not become a saint because its cultivation level was too low. It had been annihilated in the long river of history. A saint of merit in the world of reincarnation? Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. Yes, it happened a while ago. I was quite lucky. Night Sorrow said. It should have happened after you killed Prince John whose true body, right? For ordinary cultivators, the world war gives them luck. You have the foundation of a body of merit, so the benefits are great. Sima Tianqing said with envy in his eyes. Becoming a saint of merit was too amazing. Let's not change the topic. Can you take out the best resources and give them to your respective armies? It's a matter of life and death. I hope to bring them all back. Night Sorrow brought up the issue of resources again. Of course, it's not a problem. You don't need the resources. They are given to our own people. There's nothing wrong with that. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. The others did not disagree. Thank you for your support. As a token of appreciation, I'll serve you some good tea. Night Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea and brewed a pot. The group of titans who were drinking the tea were full of praise. Heart-cleansing tea was very rare and was cultivated by Chin Chin. Night Sorrow, give me 2 packets of these later, Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said bluntly. No problem. I'll give everyone 2 packs later, Night Sorrow said. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up and said, impressive. That's all there is to it. I'll leave you to it. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands before leaving the tent. Qing Shangjuan, these two disciples of yours are really a legend in the world of reincarnation. The cultivator with the body of merit who appeared last time died. He died because he attained the body of merit too late and reached the end of his lifespan. However, Night Sorrow is different. He's more than 100 years old and he's like a baby. Who dares to look at him like a baby now? Excluding his relationship with Datura, we're all on the same level, Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Speaking of which, I'm ashamed. Actually, I've only imparted him one absolute art. I really didn't teach him anything else. It's because he's hard-working enough. The heavens are strong, and the gentleman strives to improve himself. The terrain is good, and the gentleman is virtuous. He really did it, the Lotus Emperor said. Master, you're also a cultivator of the heart and morals. Your ideals are much deeper than Junior Brother's, and you've been cultivating for countless years before him. Why did Junior Brother become a virtuous body and a virtuous saint, but you didn't? Sandalwood asked. This was something he couldn't understand. She was puzzled. It's all because I know what merit is. No matter what you do, it's considered intentional. Even if you deliberately do great good, it's still a small good. Your starting point isn't recognized by the heavenly Tao. However, your Junior Brother is different. He does things according to his nature. Therefore, his actions are most in line with the heavenly Tao. It's mainly because he has a good foundation that he was recognized by the heavenly Tao early on, Qing Emperor explained. To put it bluntly, the law of heavenly Tao likes your Junior Brother but doesn't like your master and the others. It can even be said that it doesn't even look straight at them. That's roughly what it means. Heavenly Monarch Yufei translated the words for him. A good foundation is just like how everyone likes a good-looking person when he's young. Even if he's ugly, no one likes him when he does good deeds. That's what it means. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said with a smile. Brother Yuandao, I don't have anything to say about your explanation. Qing Emperor was speechless at Yuandao Heavenly Lord's explanation. What's wrong? You don't let people talk about your ugly looks? Yuandao Heavenly Lord took a sip of tea and said. Hearing Yuandao Heavenly Lord's words, everyone laughed. Although they were usually in the same great world, they rarely had such interactions. Then, everyone discussed and decided to split into two groups. One group would guard this place, while the other would follow Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens Army. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens Army would definitely face the most difficult challenges. The teleportation formation here also had to be guarded. There was a law of war that forbade the destruction of interrealm teleportation formations. However, the teleportation formation was used for war purposes. It was a strategic teleportation formation and could be easily attacked. While waiting for information, Night Sorrow would walk around the various armies every day to see how everyone was cultivating the joint attack formation. In addition, the various forces had already sent the best resources to the armies. Knowing that this was Night Sorrow's request, all the commanders and generals were very grateful. This was because rare resources were the foundation of a force. Under normal circumstances, they would not be used. On this day, Night Sorrow was about to go to the Nine Heavens Army's god-slaying territory to see his brothers when Yujun and Yi Qingyan came. Father, a spatial world has appeared around the Nine Regions world. It is now connected to the Nine Regions world. My sister and I plan to go in and explore it. However, Mother and aunts want us to get your permission first, Yi Yujun said. I know. The world is very big. I don't have time to investigate the situation. It might be dangerous inside, Night Sorrow said. Half a month ago, Night Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Sealing Palace knew about this. Because he was busy with the realm war, he did not pay attention to this matter. Father, you've been roaming the world since you were a young man. Although it has something to do with your situation back then, it's also inseparable from your determination. It's also inextricably linked to your achievements today. So, Father, you should let us go, Yi Yujun said. Ah Luo, what do you think? Knight Sorrow looked at Datura in the tent and said. Your philosophy is that it is enough to fight for yourself. You can give your family a stable life. However, the children also need their own world. Although I may take responsibility for saying this, I am still their aunt, Datura said. Aunts, this is my own choice. Even if something happens, I am grateful for your support, Yi Yujun said. The worlds around the 9 regions world are places I should go, Knight Sorrow muttered. Speak. Second update. Thank you to Iju Hua and ZZZZZ for unblocking yesterday's chapter. Thank you to 4 brothers for your support. Brothers, take a break and continue. Chapter 1399. Go to the Heaven Ceiling Palace and get the concentric crystal from me. That way, you can talk to Aunt Luo at any time. I will be the first to know if anything happens. Go. Knight Sorrow said to Yi Yujun. Thank you, Aunt Luo. Thank you, Father. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan bowed. Perhaps I was wrong in the past. I want to be a good father, but you have your own path. I will not stand in your way. Go. Be careful. If anything happens, talk to Aunt Luo. If there is any danger, don't hide it. I will help you immediately. Knight Sorrow said. Then, Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan left. Knight Sorrow, why did the spatial worlds suddenly appear? Datura was confused. The 9 regions world developed rapidly because of my cultivation, so many variables have appeared. However, it is not a big problem. Because I have the origin of the supreme world, some of the world's rules are ineffective against me. Only King can enter, but not me. Therefore, if Yujun and Qingyan are in danger, I can enter to help, Knight Sorrow said. Many spatial worlds restricted the entry of kings for self-protection. However, Knight Sorrow was the master of the supreme world's origin. He could suppress some of the spatial world's rules. After his son and daughter left, Knight Sorrow went to take a look at the god-slaying team. The members of the god-slaying team were improving rapidly, especially the talented ones. Long Jin had already become a mid-level king. There were also a few half-step kings. The rest were all advancing towards the high-level holy king. The members of the god-slaying team were soldiers in the 9 heavens army. However, because they were improving, Nu Lin and the other generals did not restrict their freedom. They would often return to the time acceleration treasure in the city in the sky to cultivate. After that, they would train in actual combat in the army. Therefore, the speed and stability of their cultivation were not a problem. After asking some questions and giving some pointers, Knight Sorrow returned to the main tent. Not long after Knight Sorrow returned to the main tent, Summer City and a few secret guards returned. Uncle Summer, did you find anything? He asked after asking Hong Yi to make tea. I found something. This is the map of the Shenwu Great World that I bought in the city. Summer City took out a map and handed it to Knight Sorrow. Yi Shang took the map and looked at it. He found that the map was very detailed, and the division of the factions was very clear. Yi Shang observed the positions of the Zhanwu dynasty, Martial's Sacred Hall, and Poison King Valley. He discovered that the 3 forces were rather close to each other and seemed to be guarding each other. Yi Shan felt that they could deal with Battle's Sacred Hall first because it was closer to the mountain range. The second day after Summer City came back, Xian Daozi and Shang Guanhong also came back. They went out to gather information. Summer City looked for the map and the distribution of the factions, as well as the situation of each city. Xian Daozi and Shang Guanhong brought people to gather information. Yi Shang took a look at the information and found that the Martial's Sacred Hall wasn't that hard to fight. The Martial's Sacred Hall had 2 overlords. One was the Hall Master, who was Sha Chongtian's master, and the other was the Grand Elder, Martial God Shiyang. The headquarters of the Martial's Sacred Hall was located at the Martial's Sacred Mountain, and the main city was the Divine Hall City. Other than the palace master and martial god Shi Yang, the strongest people were Sha Chong Tian and the 3 palace protector elders. They were all high-level monarchs. After some calculations, Knight Sorrow decided to take action. He had a high chance of winning. After that, Knight Sorrow embedded a teleportation crystal in the interrealm teleportation array and set off with Xia Cheng. The others wanted to follow, but Knight Sorrow didn't. "Your Highness, they're dead for sure." Xia Cheng, who was following Yi Chang, was very excited. He knew Yi Chang's battle strategy and knew that Martial's Sacred Hall would unknowingly fall for it and suffer heavy losses. "Yes. If everything goes well, we can destroy Martial's Sacred Palace," Knight Sorrow said. Yi Shang did not have a good impression of the Martial's Sacred Hall. Xiang martial god was very shameless. Moreover, without the approval of the Martial's Sacred Hall's Hall Master, the Martial's Sacred Hall would not follow the Zhanwu dynasty as a lackey. The only person Yi Shang approved of was Sha Chong Tian, who was a man and very courageous. "After destroying Martial's Sacred Palace, the ones we need to kill are the Zhanwu dynasty and Poison King Valley," Summer City said excitedly. Knight Sorrow and Summer City were small targets. They wouldn't attract the attention of the big shots. A Heaven Master would only be able to sense other Heaven Master great leaders. The feeling of rejection or the feeling of the same origin between perfected willpower was very strong. Knight Sorrow's willpower also had power. However, it wasn't perfect and wouldn't be detected. In addition, Knight Sorrow had the secretive true body, which could seal all his aura. When they arrived at a more secluded area of Martial's Sacred Mountain, Knight Sorrow set up a large-scale illusion array. He then set up a teleportation formation and teleported back to the stronghold in the Blue Shadow Mountain range. He called the commanders of the various armies and asked Jun Xuanji to arrange for everyone to teleport. Then, Knight Sorrow went to the main tent of the big shots and explained his strategy. "Yi Shang, according to your estimation, if we can suppress the other 2 Heaven Masters, then this battle with Martial's Sacred Hall will be a battle of annihilation?" Sima Tianqing asked Yi Shang. "That's right. As long as the Sky Pillar Giants don't interfere, we can easily topple the Martial's Sacred Hall. After the battle, the Martial's Sacred Hall will only have 2 giants without an army," Yi Shang said confidently. "It's good to take them by surprise. If their 2 big shots want to make a move, then kill them together. In the future, there will be no more Martial's Sacred Palace in the Shenwu Great World," Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. "Also, after the battle with Martial's Sacred Palace, we have to move quickly. Our next target is Poison King Valley. We will use the same strategy to quickly deal with Poison King Valley," Knight Sorrow said. "Why not the Zhanwu dynasty?" Red Emperor asked. "It's easy to change the battle with the Tiger dynasty. They originally had 3 emperors. Including the traitorous Thunderfire Heaven Monarch, they have 4 big shots. They might resist and the battle situation won't be too stable. Rather than that, it's better to expand the battle results and deal a heavy blow to the 2 forces that have enmity with us first. This way, we can expand our advantage," Knight Sorrow explained the reason for his choice. "I support it. What do you all think?" Qing Emperor looked at the group and asked. "No problem. It was decided from the beginning that the battle will be commanded by Knight Sorrow. Then, we will follow Knight Sorrow's plan. Even if such a decision wasn't made, this strategy is the most suitable," Sima Tiancheng said. Li Tianba and Red Emperor nodded to express their support. Speak. Third Watch. Chapter 1400. I have already set up the teleportation portal and the army has already started the teleportation. Everyone, don't move first as they will discover us. I will go to the vicinity of Poison King Valley to set up the teleportation portal. Then, I will come back to bring everyone there and start the massacre. Knight Sorrow told us what to do next. Very good. Next, you make the arrangements. We'll fight however you want, said Yuandao Heavenly Lord. He was very impressed with Yi Shan's tactical arrangements. Since the war has started, there is no need to talk about sneak attacks. I just want to win. Also, to prevent us from losing our advantage in the final battle, it would be best if we can kill the Heaven Masters of Marshall's Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley, Night Sorrow said. Kill the Heaven Masters too? Lord of Heaven looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. This was because Night Sorrow was very different from before. He was full of fighting spirit. Why not? Didn't they start the battle of the Heaven Masters? Heavenly Lord Shen, who has made his move more than once in the Samsara Great Realm. If he can't defeat us, it means that he isn't strong enough. Now that we have a chance, we naturally have to expand our gains. That way, when we attack the Marshall dynasty, they won't be able to fight to the death even if they want to. Yishan explained the reason for his decision. That's right. When they attacked the reincarnation Great World, Lord of Heaven God who made his move twice. It was just that the strength he was so proud of was ineffective. Now that we have the chance to get rid of a few despicable people, we should expand our advantage. Datura supported Night Sorrow's point of view. Even if Night Sorrow's point of view was wrong, she would support it unconditionally. It's decided. Night Sorrow, go and make the arrangements. Lord of Heaven said. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to everyone in the tent and went to make the arrangements. The analysis of the situation and the trend is on point. If we don't get rid of the Heaven Masters, when we attack the Zhanwu dynasty, they will have a large number of Heaven Masters. They might fight to the death with us. If we get rid of a few first, we will have a huge advantage. When our army attacks the Zhanwu dynasty, they can only watch. If one wasn't strong enough, would they be able to open it? At that time, we will have the final say in how we fight. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. Red Emperor, Datura, this king can understand how you felt when you were fighting against the Qing Emperor's imperial dynasty. Facing a commander with this kind of war command, anyone would have a headache. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. I was beaten up by my husband. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Datura said with a smile. If the realm war goes well and we win, the origin of the world of samsara will be rewarded by the heavenly way. We will also be blessed by the origin of the world of samsara. The benefits will be immeasurable. The Qing Emperor said. When the world's origin rewards him based on his contributions, the one who contributed the most is still him, the commander of the Alliance army, the strategist, and the key person who decided the victory. We can't compare to him. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. He didn't do it intentionally. He just wanted to win this realm war. He probably didn't even think about what he would gain. The Qing Emperor shook his head. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't have any utilitarian intentions. Night Sorrow and Summer City carefully made their way to the Poison King's Valley area. Then, they started to set up a teleportation array in the illusory array. After the teleportation array in the illusory array was connected to the one in the Martial God Palace, Night Sorrow and Summer City were teleported to the illusory array in the Martial God Palace area. Commander, you are here. Our army is ready to attack at any time, Jun Xuanji reported. Nu Lin, Qiu He, Yufeng, and the others nodded at Yishang. They were all prepared for battle. After the battle here, we need to quickly move to the next battlefield and attack the Poison King's Valley. I want to cripple the Martial God Palace and the Poison King's Valley in this battle, Night Sorrow said to the commanders and sovereigns present. Commander, you just came from the Poison King's Valley? Nu Lin asked. That's right. After the battle here, we need to quickly teleport over and start the battle. Night Sorrow nodded. Nu Lin and the others were very excited. The next battle was revenge. In the years that Night Sorrow wasn't around, everyone had been suppressed. Now that they had a chance to release their pent-up emotions, they were naturally excited and happy. After giving the order to prepare for battle, Night Sorrow teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain and arrived at the Sky Master's tent. I plan to attack the Martial God Palace at night. When the time comes, everyone just needs to rush over, Night Sorrow said. Okay, no problem. Qing Emperor nodded. Everyone, teleport over after we start the battle. That way, even if their Sky Master senses it, it'll be useless. When the battle starts, they can only defend themselves. They won't have time to think of any countermeasures, Night Sorrow said. After the discussion, Night Sorrow returned to the illusion array in the Martial God Palace area and waited for the sky to turn dark. When the sky turned dark, the battle would begin. Night Sorrow was also a little excited. The next two battles would determine the direction of the world war between the two great worlds. All the legions were ready to fight at any time. Night Sorrow called the commanders of the various legions to the tent. Then, he took out a map and told everyone the areas that each legion would be responsible for. After giving the instructions, Night Sorrow put away the map and waited for the time of the final battle to arrive. When the moon rose and the stars twinkled in the sky, Night Sorrow came out of the tent and called for everyone to gather. The next battle is the most crucial one. Thank you for your hard work. Everyone, come back alive, Night Sorrow said. Commander Night, you don't have to be so polite. We know what to do, Yufeng said. Look at the original chapter, section. Okay then, let's start the battle. Xuanji, go back and inform my master and the others that the battle has begun. Night Sorrow stopped the illusion array after he finished speaking. Then, he led the Nine Heavens Legion to the core area of the Martial God Palace. That was the resource building, the area where the resources were hidden. Night Sorrow didn't say anything when someone blocked his way. He just waved his hand and killed. At that moment, the other Sky Masters who received the news also appeared. They had to pin down the two Sky Masters of the Martial God Palace. Everyone, watch this place. I'll go and kill them. Datura's body flashed and flew toward the area where he sensed the opportunity. Misty Rain and Lord of Precious Fragrance are here. The teleportation array can't be destroyed. Everyone else, start killing. The two Sky Masters of the Martial God Palace must be eliminated today, the Red Emperor said. Night Sorrow led his men and charged toward the core area of the Martial God Palace. Night Sorrow killed anyone who blocked his way with Sky Splitter. When he sensed the auras of several Sky Masters, the Martial God Palace Master ended his cultivation and appeared in front of the pavilion. Martial God Shiyang also appeared. Shiyang, what's going on? The Martial God Palace Master's expression was very ugly. A sneak attack. The people of the reincarnation great world are attacking us. Martial God Shiyang looked up at the sky because Datura had arrived. Speak. Fourth update. Today's update complete. Chapter 1401. Dark Dominator, what are you trying to do? The Martial Sacred Hall Master, who was wearing a long robe with golden cloud patterns, asked Datura. What am I trying to do? Isn't that obvious? Of course, I'm trying to kill you. Weren't you having a great time following Lord of Heaven God Tiger around? Today, you will die. Datura said as he struck with his hollow blade. A blade radiance slashed towards the Martial Sacred Hall Master. The Martial Sacred Hall Master's expression changed as he floated back. Then, he held a long sword in his hand. He was very clear that today was a calamity because Mandela and Lord of Heaven God who had a slight advantage in the battle. Lord of Heaven God Tiger was the #1 expert in the Shenwu Great World. The Martial Sacred Hall Master was no match for him. In comparison, he was naturally no match for Datura. Shiyang, quickly go to the Zhanwu dynasty and ask for help. The Martial Sacred Hall Master shouted as he retreated. He knew that if he wanted to escape today's calamity, he had to find an ally. Without an ally, he would die today. Request for help? Don't count on it. Today, you will pay the price for invading the world of samsara. Sandalwood appeared with her battle blade and charged towards Martial God Shiyang. Red Emperor, Sky Tiger Valley Master, you guys hold the formation. Qing Emperor, leave. We will kill his clone. You want to run? Dream on. Lord of Heaven Yuandao shouted. Are you guys trying to kill me? Hearing Lord of Heaven Yuandao's words, the martial's sacred hall master was shocked. Lord of Heaven Yuandao's words were equivalent to cutting off his path. Datura's body flashed as he struck with his hollow blade again and again. The blade radiance formed a net that restricted the martial's sacred hall master's movement space. The martial god palace master's body flashed with light, and the long sword in his hand slashed fiercely in one direction, trying to open up a path of survival. However, Mandela was waiting for him in front of him, and she directly used the great death destruction slash. Don't push me too far. The martial's sacred hall master roared as his clone was being attacked by Lord of Heaven Yuandao. I'm going to kill you. How can I push you too far? Why are you so talkative? The black halo triggered by Datura's death annihilation slash enveloped the martial god hall master. The hollow blade slashed toward the martial god hall master's head with a blade beam. Roar. The martial god palace master roared furiously as he struggled to resist the negative effects of the black halo. Absolute arts were not invincible. It also depended on the opponent's strength. The martial god palace master was affected by the death obliteration slash's effects on his soul and spacetime. He fell into a predicament, but he did not lose consciousness. Therefore, he tried his best to struggle. The martial god palace master struggled to break free from the suppression and influence of the black light. Datura's machete arrived. He could only hurriedly block. How could the martial god palace's palace master block the attack in a fluster? The long sword in his hand blocked the path of Datura's hollow blade, but the blade aura pierced his body and forced him to retreat. After forcing the martial sacred hall's hall master to retreat, Datura caught up with him in a flash and performed the great death destruction slash once again. The martial god palace master roared furiously as he struggled to break free from the influence on his soul. Then, he used his sword to block. After blocking twice, the martial god palace master was severely injured. His chest and abdomen were pierced by Datura's blade aura. Martial god Shiyang was in an even worse state. His original body and clone were fighting Qiao Tan at the same time. However, he was still at a disadvantage. Qiao Tan's attacks were extremely violent. She suppressed his original body and had already chopped off half of his original body. You are no longer a match for me. I have nothing to say to you. After saying that, the Red Emperor attacked and charged toward martial god Shi Yang's clone. Knight Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to the Divine Martial Pavilion and destroyed the teleportation array first. Then, he continued to kill. He did not want any reinforcements to appear. Furious roars and screams rang out continuously. However, they were not from the Nine Heavens army. The Nine Heavens army soldiers gritted their teeth and killed. Even if they were injured, they did not make a sound. Silent killing was a tradition of the Nine Heavens army. Moreover, there were not many who were injured. At this moment, the martial sacred hall was already in a daze. Battles broke out everywhere in the martial sacred hall's region. Several legions surrounded and attacked together. Furthermore, the martial sacred hall's Divine Hall Legion had nearly been destroyed some time ago. Hence, the martial sacred hall did not have the strength to resist. It was a one-sided massacre. The battle between the powerhouses was still ongoing. However, the martial sacred hall master couldn't withstand Datura's attacks at all. When Datura used his third ultimate move, he was killed. He didn't even have the chance to escape. Sandalwood also killed martial god Shi Yang's main body. The Red Emperor and martial god Shi Yang's clone were still fighting. The Red Emperor had the upper hand. Xuanji, Nu Lin, go wash the resources and bring them away, Knight Sorrow shouted. He wanted to kill the enemy, so he had to leave the looting to others. The 7 legions of the Nine Heavens army had destroyed the martial sacred hall. Hence, there was no difficulty in looting the resources. After killing martial god Shi Yang's main body, Sandalwood went towards martial god Shi Yang's clone again. You caused trouble during my wedding. That's the reason why you died today. Red Emperor retreated. Sandalwood had no difficulty killing martial god Shi Yang's clone. She had already killed the main body, so why couldn't she kill the clone? Everyone knew that the main body was stronger than the clone. At this moment, Yuandao Heavenly Lord and Qing Emperor returned. The martial Sacred Hall Master's clone had already been killed by Yuandao Heavenly Lord. The battle was over. Only martial god Shi Yang's clone was left struggling under Sandalwood's blade. Quickly, we're done here. Let's move on to the next battlefield, Knight Sorrow ordered. Soon, the war was over. Murderers killed, robbers killed, and the war was over. Sandalwood also killed martial god Shi Yang's clone. Let's go to the teleportation formation. Let's start the next battle. Knight Sorrow led his people and flew towards the teleportation formation. The heavenly lords were floating in the air. The arrangements are appropriate, the results are remarkable. The Crimson Emperor said with some emotion. Yes, when Shenwu Great World attacked us, they didn't give any orders. They just fought randomly. Compared to Knight Sorrow, they were on a completely different level. Datura said. Of course, Knight Sorrow's ability is related, but everyone's trust is also very important. Without everyone's support, Knight Sorrow's strength would be limited. Qing Emperor said. Let's go. Let's stop sighing. Knight Sorrow and the others are starting to teleport. After the Poison King's Valley is destroyed, we can drink tea and chat. Li Tianba said. At this time, Knight Sorrow was leading his people to the teleportation formation. Destroying the martial Sacred Hall and killing 2 heavenly lords was a great achievement. If the Poison King's Valley was eliminated, the Shenwu Great World's strength would drop by a lot. The happiest parties were the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate. Knight Sorrow and the Fortune Gate didn't have much interaction. When he was in the Ice Dragon world, the Fortune Gate's Bai Yun led a team to hunt him down once. While Knight Sorrow was thinking, the army was rapidly teleporting. Time. What was important was to end the battle quickly and expand the battle results before the Shenwu Great World could react. Speak. First update. Chapter 1402. As there were too many people, the teleportation took half an hour to complete. After the teleportation, Knight Sorrow turned around and saw that the Heaven Masters had arrived. He gave the order to start the battle. Several legions attacked together. In a short while, the disciples of the Poison King Valley were being slaughtered. Cries and howls could be heard everywhere. Although the disciples of the Poison King Valley cultivated poison arts, their protective chi shields were effective against poison arts if they were prepared. They were too fast and ruthless. The legions were all led by high-class monarchs. The disciples of the Poison King Valley weren't able to withstand them. The legions surrounded the headquarters of the Poison King Valley and continued the massacre. Damn it! All of you deserve to die. The Heaven Lord of Poison was floating above the Poison King Hall. He was already surrounded by the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation. It's you who deserves to die. You entered the world of reincarnation to show off your prowess and then ran back like nothing happened? Let's kill him and be done with it. The Red Emperor shouted and attacked. The Qing Emperor and the others didn't stay idle. The Heaven Lord of Poison was proficient in poison. If they didn't kill him quickly and give him a chance to use poison, it would be troublesome. The Heaven Masters might be fine, but it would be fatal for the soldiers. The Heaven Lord of Poison was flustered when the Heaven Lord of Poison attacked at the same time. He couldn't resist at all and his legs were chopped off by the Heaven Lord of Origin Dao. Then, the Qing Emperor's Great Emperor Reincarnation / and Datura's Great Death Destruction / landed on his body. Translator, Lon_editor, Ephidacia. Without a doubt, the Heaven Lord of Poison was chopped up by the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation. He didn't even have the chance to release the clone in his body before he was annihilated. Lord Ruler, take it easy. The saber radiance almost cut me, Li Tianba muttered. Datura's saber aura was too fast. Li Tianba, who was opposite her, was almost injured by the saber aura after it pierced through the Heaven Lord of Poison. Stupid. Datura glanced at the Heaven Lord of Poison. Night Sorrow led a few legions and washed the Poison King Valley with blood. If someone was poisoned, there would be others who would immediately come to their aid. Everyone had brought top-notch resources with them, so detoxifying the poison would not be a problem. After collecting the resources, Night Sorrow turned to the Sky Master's side. 2 battles have been completed. This was a surprise attack. Next, it will be a head-on battle. Very good. You destroyed 2 forces and 3 Sky Masters in one move. The results of the battle are already beyond our expectations. I was just thinking that if you were a cultivator from Shenwu Great World, some of us might have already fallen, Sima Tianqing said. Our current achievements are inseparable from your support. Why can't they make progress in the Samsara world? Due to the lack of trust between the various factions, the Alliance army does not have a unified command. This does not apply to us, so we have the advantage, and they have the disadvantage, Night Sorrow said. That's right. Without a unified command, how can tactics and strategies be carried out perfectly? Therefore, the situation is in our favor. Sima Tianqing said. Let's go back and have some tea. After that, we will split the spoils. Night Sorrow said to the group with a smile. Following that, the group left. Night Sorrow brought up the rear and dismantled the 2 teleportation arrays before returning to Blue Eagle Mountain. Night Sorrow called Jun Xuanji, Nu Lin, Qiu He, and Yu Feng, who were collecting the resources, over. The principle of resource distribution is to be divided equally among the major factions. However, those who have suffered heavy losses will get more. You guys decide what to do next. Night Sorrow said to the commanders. All the Sky Masters nodded. Night Sorrow had done a good job. Also, all the legions should rest. I will study the next target. Night Sorrow said. There was no problem with resource distribution. All the resources from the 2 top factions gave everyone a good income. Night Sorrow went to the 9 Heavens army to take a look. There were 100 injured and some dead. They were poisoned and could not be rescued in time. Although Night Sorrow was heartbroken, he knew that this was unavoidable. People would die in a war. If there were no deaths, it would not be a war. Night Sorrow emphasized that they had to deal with the aftermath properly before returning to his tent. The Shenwu Great World was in an uproar. 2 top factions were destroyed and 3 Sky Masters fell. This had not happened in countless years. Everyone in the Shenwu Great World knew that it was done by the Reincarnation Great World. However, no one knew where the Reincarnation Great World's people were. The Reincarnation Great World's attacks were sharp. With lightning speed, they destroyed 2 top factions and killed 3 Sky Masters before retreating. This made all the factions in the Shenwu Great World uneasy. No one knew which faction the Reincarnation Great World's next target would be. In the Sky Moon City Lord's mansion of the Sky Moon Pavilion, Lin Qingyi was talking to an old man in plain robes. Qingyi, are you saying that the Reincarnation Great World will not attack us? The old man asked. The old man in plain robes was the Pavilion Lord of the Sky Moon Pavilion, the 3 Suns Lord of Heaven. He had been to the Reincarnation Great World before. However, after Lin Qingyi was defeated, he returned to the Shenwu Great World. He had participated in the Realm War before. Since he had lost, he did not care. Night Sorrow said that as long as we do not participate in the Realm War, they will not come to our region. He is now the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. He can still make this decision, Lin Qingyi said. Her clone was in charge of the captives in the Reincarnation Great World. Her original body had returned to the Shenwu Great World with the 3 Suns Lord of Heaven. The Martial Sacred Hall brought this upon themselves. Back then, they wanted to snatch the Heavenly Tao artifact and then declared war. It caused a huge commotion. Now, they followed the Zhanhu dynasty and started the Realm War. Hence, they brought this upon themselves. However, the enemy's methods were quite ruthless. They directly launched a thunderous attack and destroyed 2 forces. They killed 3 Heaven Masters. Their original body and clone were all destroyed. This was a fatal blow. The three sons Lord of Heaven took a deep breath. He was even a little afraid because this method was too difficult to defend against. Master, we have lost this realm war. The main reason is that we were unrighteous. Our reason for participating in the realm war was not justified. The Zhanwu dynasty lost two powerful allies. It will be almost impossible for them to win the realm war in the future, Lin Xingyi said. The heaven masters of the reincarnation great world are really bold. They actually let a young man become the commander-in-chief of the allied forces. The three sons Lord of Heaven did not understand. This was because it was equivalent to handing over his army to someone else. He had to accept it as cannon fodder. Knight Sorrow is very strong, especially when it comes to war. He was able to gain the trust of others. The main reason is that he is a cultivator of the body of merit. He will not do things that go against his conscience. In addition, he is strong enough to be promoted. He also gained the support of everyone in the reincarnation great world, Lin Xingyi said. If we lost, then we lost. We also contributed to the realm war. If Heaven Master God who thinks that he is strong enough, then he can solve the problem himself, the three sons Lord of Heaven said. Speak. Second update. Thank you for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 1403. The Zhanwu dynasty is arrogant and overbearing. Now that they've kicked an iron plate, they won't take this lying down. They destroyed Marshall's Sacred Hall and poisoned King Valley because they were the most aggressive. Destroying them was also an opportunity to widen the gap between the reincarnation great world and the Shenwu great world. They succeeded and destroyed three of the giants of the Shenwu great world. Now, the Shenwu great world is not afraid of a head-on battle. They won't be at a disadvantage even if they fight head-on, Lin Xingyi said. We don't care about this anymore. As long as they don't come to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's territory, it's fine. As for the realm war that hurt the reincarnation great world, we'll compensate them. If we lose and can't defeat them, we'll have to pay the price. That's the rule, the three sons Lord of Heaven said. I understand. I'll talk to him when I can, Lin Xingyi said. Lin Xingyi said. She didn't know where Yi Shang and his men were, so there was no way to negotiate. After settling everything, Knight Sorrow went to the tent where the Sky Master was. He drank tea and chatted with everyone. Knight Sorrow, what's next? Li Tianba asked. There's no hurry. The realm war isn't over in a day or two. What we want is victory. As long as we win, it doesn't matter if it's earlier or later, Knight Sorrow said. That's right. What's the hurry? The precious fragrance Lord of Heaven glared at Li Tianba. These bastards need to be dealt with. Today's battle was so satisfying that I want to do it a few more times, Li Tianba said with a smile. Hee, there's no hurry. It's still early for the realm war to end. Everyone, stay here for now. I'll go back to Black Fiend City to take a look. There are many captives there. We have to be safe, Knight Sorrow said. Qing Emperor and the rest nodded. The stability of the reincarnation great world was a must. Knight Sorrow returned to Black Fiend City through the teleportation formation. He went to the place where the captives lived. Seeing Knight Sorrow, Lin Xingyi was stunned. Aren't you commanding the realm war? Yes, after 2 battles, I was worried about the stability of your side, so I came to take a look, Knight Sorrow said. I will do what I promised you, Lin Xingyi said. I believe you. If there's a situation or a riot, the 2 armies in Black Fiend City will go out. If there's a need, you can also inform them, Knight Sorrow said. Currently, the Chiwa Army and the Green Phoenix Army were stationed in Black Fiend City. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. There's something else I want to talk to you about. Lin Xingyi knew that Knight Sorrow was worried. She also wanted to talk to her master about the matter. After all, it was not easy to see Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow followed Lin Xingyi into the tent. Martial God Palace Lord, Martial God Shiyang, and Poison King Heaven Monarch were all killed by you guys. You guys are fast, Lin Xingyi said after brewing a pot of tea. How do you know? I understand now. You have a doppelganger in Shenwu Great World. Night Sorrow understood immediately. My master wants me to talk to you. There are some things that I won't hide from you. Our Heavenly Moon Pavilion participated in the World War, and although we have withdrawn now, we still fought in the world of reincarnation. Hence, we have to give you an explanation. You can tell me what you want. My master just doesn't want the Heavenly Moon Pavilion region to be affected by the flames of war, Lin Xingyi said. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion is very gentlemanly. If it's my personal matter, there's no need to ask for anything. However, it's the Alliance Army now. You guys can arrange for me to explain to the Alliance Army, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay, there's a Qingyi Marquis mansion in Heavenly Moon City. That's my territory. If you trust me, you can find me. Go to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. If I can't guarantee your safety, I'll be abandoned by everyone, Lin Xingyi said. Okay, I'll go when I have time, Night Sorrow nodded. You're really powerful. You've reduced part of the Shenwu Great World's strength in one go. Your victory rate in the realm war is more than half. The allies of the Zhanwu dynasty have been defeated by you, so they don't have much say, Lin Xingyi said. It's not my intention to kill. However, people should be indomitable and have a clear conscience. The Shenwu Great World started a realm war on our world of samsara. They killed people and robbed resources. As a cultivator of the world of samsara, I can't take this lying down, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. I don't think you're wrong either. This is the way of the world, Lin Xingyi said. Only one original copy, others are all stolen copies. Original copy. After Night Sorrow returned to the Blue Eagle Mountain in the Shenwu Great World, he first sent out the spies of the Angry Lin army to gather information. Then, he went to the big tent of the Sky Master and told him about the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's decision. They're purely fighting for the realm war. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, as long as they withdraw from the realm war, we can't pursue the matter. I think that since they're willing to give an explanation, you can make the arrangements, Sima Tianqing said. It's actually a matter of face. For the sake of stability, they're willing to give us an explanation. This is good for both sides, Red Emperor said. That's what I was thinking too. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I don't want to become a traitor when the time comes for more or less resources, said Yishan. This was his purpose for coming here. He didn't want others to not understand. What are you talking about? Even if someone calls us traitors, no one will call you a traitor, Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Everyone smiled and nodded. That was the truth. No matter who was a traitor, Night Sorrow wouldn't be a traitor. In the current situation of the world of reincarnation, Night Sorrow was the commander and the Sky Master was his henchman. Everyone, please take care of this place. I'll be leaving for a while later, Night Sorrow said. You're leaving? Aren't you the commander of the army? Sima Tianqing frowned. I only had a brief discussion with the Marquis of Qingyi about the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. They invited me over and promised my safety. Once we get rid of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, we'll have one less opponent, Night Sorrow said. Promise. Maybe they don't mean to hurt you, but there's still a lot of uncertainty, Qing Emperor didn't agree. Night Sorrow's safety was too important. How about this? I'll go with you. The other party is sincere. It wouldn't be appropriate if we don't go. Let's go and see the situation. Even if something happens, it won't be difficult for us to escape unscathed, Datura stood up and said. If you asked who was most worried about Night Sorrow, it would be Datura. In her heart, Night Sorrow was an indomitable man. At the same time, he also needed to be taken care of and loved because he had a lot to bear. That's fine. Also, it's not appropriate for us to go out rashly. I've already sent out spies to gather information. When I return, we can start the next battle, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow and Datura left the tent. There won't be any danger. Let's just treat it as a sightseeing trip. We'll go to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion as guests, Night Sorrow said. Speak. Third watch. Chapter 1404. You sure are confident. I like your aura and boldness, Datura said with a smile. Hee hee. Your words make me feel sweet in my heart. What men care about the most is their woman's evaluation, Ishan said. Datura smiled because she liked this feeling. No matter how imposing Night Sorrow was when he led the army, no matter how strong his killing intent was when he faced his enemies, he would always be gentle and polite when facing his family and wife. In the commander's tent, Yishang and Mandela left Blue Eagle Mountain after informing Nu Lin and Jun Xuanji. They flew toward the nearest city. When they arrived at the nearest city, Night Sorrow and Datura began to teleport. The Shinwu Great World was dominated by human cultivators. Datura wore a veil to cover her beautiful face, so she didn't attract too much attention. After a few teleportations, the two arrived at the Sky Moon Pavilion's territory. After another teleportation, Night Sorrow and Datura arrived at Sky Moon City. When the soldier guarding the teleportation array saw Night Sorrow and Datura, he took 2 steps back because he could see Night Sorrow's cultivation. We don't have any hostility. We are only here to find someone. Can you take us to the Chingy Marquis residence? Night Sorrow asked. You are looking for the young pavilion master? The soldier stopped the soldiers who surrounded them and asked. Yes, Lin Chingy asked me to go to the Chingy Marquis residence to find her, Night Sorrow said. The soldier was a little hesitant. The other soldiers still surrounded Night Sorrow and Datura. It's fine if you can't take us. We will wait. You can go and report, Night Sorrow said again. Why are you wasting your breath on them? They invited us here, yet they don't know how to treat us courteously. Datura was a little angry as he released the suppressed aura of his leakless true body. Datura had just released his aura when an elder appeared. It was the 3 Suns' heavenly monarch, who was wearing a plain robe and a silver crown. Don't be rude. Step down. 3 Suns' heavenly monarch shouted at the soldiers. Datura cupped his hands at the 3 Suns' heavenly monarch. Lord Ruler is here. They don't know how to be polite. Sorry for offending you. The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch had met Datura before. In the reincarnation Great World, he had watched the battle between Datura and Heaven Lord Shenhu. Nothing much. I was just following Night Sorrow for a walk. Seeing that the 3 Suns' heaven monarch's attitude was better, Datura restrained his aura. Forever free of charge, see small caret, say, Lord Ruler, you think too much. Since we invited Commander Knight, I will definitely take good care of him, said the 3 Suns' princess. Then, the 3 Suns' heavenly monarch brought Night Sorrow and Datura to the Chingy Marquis residence. Commander Knight is here. Chingy did not welcome you properly. Night Sorrow and the others had just arrived at the Chingy Marquis residence when Lin Chingy appeared. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Lin Chingy. After entering the residence, Lin Chingy personally brewed some tea. Commander Knight, Lord Ruler, as a force of the Shinwu Great World, participating in this realm war is the responsibility of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. However, we have brought trouble to the reincarnation Great World. If the Heavenly Moon Pavilion wants to withdraw from this war, they must give us an explanation. I understand this. The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch was straightforward. Lord Heavenly Monarch, you are reasonable. From my point of view, this is nothing. However, we must give the Alliance and the Allied forces an explanation, said Night Sorrow. This is the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's compensation to the reincarnation Great World. We only ask that the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region be spared from the flames of war. The 3 Suns' princess took out a storage ring and placed it in front of Night Sorrow. Lord Heavenly Monarch, you are too kind. When Night Sorrow returns, I will explain this matter to the leaders of the reincarnation great world. The Alliance will not attack the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, said Night Sorrow. Aren't you going to take a look at what's in the storage ring? The Three Suns Heavenly Monarch looked at Night Sorrow in confusion. Actually, it doesn't matter what's in the storage ring. Lord Heavenly Monarch's attitude is enough. Rather than saying that the storage ring is compensation, it's more like an attitude that we need, said Night Sorrow. All right. The Three Suns Heavenly Monarch nodded. After today's matter, our people will not enter the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region. Furthermore, today's matter will not be leaked. Although you are doing this for the sake of the people of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region, you will not be able to avoid criticism, said Night Sorrow. The Three Suns Heavenly Monarch nodded. I didn't expect you to understand me. The few of them sat for a while. The Three Suns Heavenly Monarch instructed Lin Qingyi to take care of the guests before he left. The matter had been settled. After checking into the guest room that Lin Qingyi had arranged for them, Night Sorrow opened the storage ring. 300,000 sacred spirit stones. This is not a small amount of compensation. Things have gone smoothly, said Night Sorrow. Not bad. The Three Suns Heavenly Monarch has seen things clearly. He knows that the situation is irreversible. He participated in the realm war to obtain the reward of the origin of the realm. Now that the realm war is out of the question, protecting the region from now on is also a merit, said Datura. There is no right or wrong in the first place. It's just that our goals are different. He is also a smart person. He knows when to retreat, said Night Sorrow. This is good for everyone. After all, we have one less opponent. Datura nodded. After staying at the Qingyi Marquis residence for 2 days, Night Sorrow declined Lin Qingyi's invitation to stay. He left the residence with Datura and rushed back to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Night Sorrow, what is your next target? Asked Datura. The Fortune Gate. Bai Taisong's Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow said. Bai Taisong's Fortune Gate is very strong. Bai Taisong does not make a move easily, but most people acknowledge his strength. The Fortune Gate and the Zhanwu dynasty are allies. Unlike the Poison King's Valley and Martial God Palace, the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate are allies of the same level. This is because Heavenly Monarch God whose strength is not a threat to Bai Taisong, said Datura. The last time I went to the Ice Dragon realm, people from the Fortune Gate chased after me. Their style of doing things is also ruthless. The time is not ripe to directly attack the Zhanwu dynasty. In that case, let's take down the Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. She had also commanded armies in battle in the past, so she knew that Night Sorrow's strategy was correct. Night Sorrow returned to the command tent on the Blue Eagle Mountain and gave the Heavenly Moon Pavilion storage rings to Jun Xuanji for him to distribute to the armies of the various forces. It was difficult for him to get resources for the various armies, so naturally, he would not give them to the powerhouses. At this time, the spies returned one by one and reported the results of their investigation to Night Sorrow. There is still the invincible monarch Ah. This is my business. Ah Luo, I want to know how the world war in the outside world is decided. Night Sorrow looked at Datura and asked. Divine Martial City. As long as we take down the Divine Martial City, we will win the world war. This is the judgment of the Heavenly Tao. The other thing is to kill until the other side is convinced. You know how difficult this is. Datura said. If we attack the Divine Martial City now, we might be able to take it down, but we will definitely suffer heavy losses. So, we can't be too hasty. Take down the Fortune Gate first. Fortune Gate, they actually dared to give it such a name. Night Sorrow muttered in a low voice. Because they have treasures. The sect was named because of their treasures. Datura said. Speak. The 4th update has arrived. Today's update is complete. Chapter 1405. Datura then explained the situation of the Fortune Gate to Night Sorrow. The Fortune Gate was not an established force in the Shenwu Great World. The Fortune Lord Bai Te Song was also a heavenly lord, but no one dared to look down on him. The reason why Bai Te Song was able to become a heavenly lord and establish a top force was because of a treasure, the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion was a treasure that surpassed the monarch weapon and could seize the fortune of the heavens. Because it could seize the fortune of the heavens, it was called the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Is it an auxiliary treasure? Night Sorrow asked. It's a defensive treasure, similar to your spacetime pagoda, but it can seize the fortune of the heavens, so it's amazing. Datura said. We have to fight even if it's strong, but we have to be careful. Night Sorrow said. With the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate, we can't win the realm war, so we have to take care of them. Also, as you said, the realm war is not something that can be done in a day, we can't rush it. Datura said. She knew Night Sorrow's ability, but she was worried that Night Sorrow would be impatient. Don't worry, I know what's important and I won't act rashly. Let's take care of the average forces first, and take down the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate last. I feel like I'm being suppressed. Night Sorrow said. What suppression? Datura asked, puzzled. I can't say for sure, but it seems like it's a pressure from the soul and will. It should be the rejection of the Shenwu Great World. Night Sorrow said. Datura looked at Night Sorrow, then told Night Sorrow some things about the Realm War. The Realm War was a fight for the fortune of the two worlds, which was also a fight for the heavens' favor. Not only did cultivators need fate and the heavenly Tao's blessing, but the spatial world also needed it. This would reduce the number of tribulations and extend the lifespan of the spatial world. The realm war between the Shenwu Great World and the Samsara Great World was a competition for fate. The winner would obtain the fate of both worlds. Night Sorrow had represented the Samsara Great World in battle and had dealt heavy damage to the Divine Martial Great World several times. Thus, the Divine Martial Great World's origin source had a relatively strong blessing of destiny. Naturally, the Divine Martial Great World's origin source could sense it. Sensing the threat and harm brought by Night Sorrow, the origin of Shenwu Great World was naturally hostile to Night Sorrow. So that's how it is. So be it. After knowing the reason, Night Sorrow knew that he could only bear with it. Try activating the light of merit. The origin of the Great World can't surpass the Merit Saint. The origin of the Great World can't suppress the Merit Saint. That's a blasphemy to the heavenly Tao. Datura reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow tried to activate the energy of the golden body of merit in his body. The golden light of merit outside the divine sea in his head also emitted naturally. As Night Sorrow activated the light of merit, the suppression retreated and disappeared without a trace. It's really effective. Night Sorrow shrugged his shoulders. If you have strength and confidence, you have to show it. Whoever touches you after that will have to bear the consequences. The origin of the Great World can suppress the Merit Saint. This is against the heavenly Tao. Datura snorted coldly. At this time in the Shenwu city, a man stood facing the wind on a mountain in the east. I provoked the Merit Saint. The battle of forces turned into a realm war. It's my mistake. In a mature spatial world, the origin of the Great World had spiritual wisdom and could transform. This was the case in the Nine Clouds world and the Three Great Worlds. The world of Samsara had the Samsara Palace, the Black-Yellow Great World had the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth, and the Shenwu Great World also had the Shenwu Fighting Heaven, which was similar in nature to the Samsara Palace. When several forces in the Shenwu Great World declared war on the world of Samsara, the origin of Shenwu Great World thought that these forces were confident, so it launched a realm war in the name of the origin of the Great World. However, the result was beyond its expectation. It was a crushing defeat and lost the war in the world of Samsara. If the attack failed, it would not attack. The cessation of the realm war did not have a big impact on the Shenwu Great World. But now? The world of Samsara had already attacked. Look at the original chapter on the first page of the book. When the origin of the Shinwu Great World found that Knight Sorrow was the commander of the Allied forces and there was still the origin of the world of samsara in his body, it inadvertently suppressed him. When the origin of the Shinwu Great World found that Knight Sorrow was the sage of merit, it hurriedly withdrew the inadvertent suppression. As the origin of the world, it was the master of the Shinwu Great World, but it could not touch the sage of merit, even if he was the meritorious person of the world of samsara. Although it felt helpless, the origin of the Shinwu Great World understood that it could only let nature take its course. In the following years and months, its fate was far worse than that of the world of samsara. Knight Sorrow felt much more comfortable. Being suppressed was like a shackle on his body. It was very uncomfortable. Knight Sorrow went to various legions and then walked around. After the Realm War broke out, it was always a high-intensity battle, so the legion's ability to fight continuously was very important. When they saw Knight Sorrow coming to check on them, all the sergeants who saw Knight Sorrow bowed to salute him. First of all the sergeants had to respect his identity as the commander of the Allied forces. Secondly, Knight Sorrow's character and strength of character were respected. Knight Sorrow really valued the sergeants. In order to increase the sergeants' chances of survival, Knight Sorrow even put aside his face and asked for resources from the chiefs of various forces to increase the sergeants' chances of survival. After looking around, Knight Sorrow found that although the legions had gone through several battles, their spirits were still very good. Xuanji informed the city guards of the Qing Emperor's city to send some good wine over, Knight Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji. When the legions went out to war, the city guards of various forces were responsible for supplying them. Knight Sorrow returned to the tent and fell into deep thought. His current strength was enough to fight against a heaven overlord, but it was only limited to survival. If his main body was not in a state of enlightenment, he could go and refine the soul cultivation liquid now. Then, his actual combat strength would increase greatly. However, to Knight Sorrow, the most important thing was to increase his comprehension of willpower. The soul cultivation liquid could be refined at any time, but the opportunity to comprehend willpower was hard to come by. If he stopped now, he did not know when he would be able to enter a state of high-speed comprehension again. Knight Sorrow would not do something like neglecting the essentials. Strengthening the soul was the foundation, but it could be done sooner or later. In addition, Knight Sorrow's soul power was already very strong because his soul had been strengthened and repaired by the space-time pagoda. The perfection of the soul was very important. A cultivator's soul had flaws, and it could be said that everyone was like this. However, Knight Sorrow's soul was perfect because it had been strengthened by the space-time pagoda. In this aspect, only Knight Sorrow had this condition. The space-time pagoda belonged to Knight Sorrow, and Shao Kong only recognized Knight Sorrow as its master. It only recognized Knight Sorrow as its master. Other people could cultivate, but there was no special treatment. Artifact spirits were arrogant and only recognized their masters. This was a rule that no one could change. Knight Sorrow was originally puzzled as to why the space-time pagoda was so strong that it could change the level of the soul. After knowing that it was a heavenly artifact, he understood that it was not strange for a heavenly artifact to have this ability. Speak. The first update has arrived. Chapter 1406. All this time, Knight Sorrow had been using the space-time treasure pagoda when he wasn't in seclusion. However, there were some special treatments that others didn't have. Only Knight Sorrow had the privilege of repairing and perfecting one's soul. As for time and space energy, Shao Kong was only using it for Knight Sorrow. That was to say, others didn't have this privilege. When Jiyu family's Jiyu Fenglan wanted to advance his Earth attribute to space attribute, he couldn't get the help of the space-time treasure pagoda. He could only stay at the top of the space-time treasure pagoda and comprehend the laws of space when the space-time treasure pagoda absorbed the energy of heaven and earth. Recognition wasn't only needed between people. The recognition of a treasure's artifact spirit was also very important. The recognition of the world's origin was even more heaven-defying. What are you thinking about? Datura entered the tent. Nothing, I'm just wondering what the Fortune Gate's immortal fortune pavilion is like. It can seize the fortune of heaven and earth. Night Sorrow said. I don't know the specifics of the immortal fortune pavilion because it's a secret of the Fortune Gate. Bai Song won't tell anyone, but it's definitely powerful. Datura said. Then if there's a chance, we can snatch it and study it slowly. Night Sorrow said. Haha. Sure, if there's a chance, we'll snatch it. There's no need to be polite. Datura said with a smile. Yi Shang smiled and nodded. This idea was possible, but one could imagine the difficulty. The treasure of a heaven master magnate, the cornerstone treasure of a top force, was not easy to snatch. There was only one way to snatch it, and that was to kill Lord of Creation Bai Cheng. Night Sorrow came up with a plan. Spies would spread the news that some forces could withdraw from the World War. As long as they showed sincerity and announced that they wouldn't interfere in the World War, they could survive. If they were stubborn, then Martial God Palace and Poison King Valley would be examples. Night Sorrow wouldn't be lenient. First. Intimidate. Divide. This was Night Sorrow's tactic, psychological warfare. Of course, this tactic wasn't effective in the early stages. If you don't have any battle records, who's afraid of you? However, things were different now. Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley were both top forces. The fact that these two forces had been destroyed proved the strength of the reincarnation great world. Night Sorrow's request was that if there were any forces that were willing to compromise and withdraw from the realm war, they would post a notice on the 4 gates of the main city and send people over. Half a month after the news was released, there were already 2 major powers that announced their withdrawal from the realm war, choosing to compromise. They were all major powers and their strength was only average. Hence, they were worried that the world of reincarnation would wipe them out with lightning speed. Right now, everyone was worried about it. The negotiations were handled by Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood. It was mainly for the sake of safety. If there was a battle, Datura and Sandalwood would be able to hold on until the other heavyweights arrived. In addition, it wasn't that easy for anyone to set up an ambush. That was because Heaven Masters all had senses. It was very difficult to set up an ambush in advance unless one's speed was especially fast. Just like how Night Sorrow brought people to the Martial Sacred Hall, they teleported out in an instant. However, Datura and Sandalwood weren't afraid. The first force to compromise was a family power. The head of the family was a Heaven Master. Because he didn't want his descendants to be sacrificed in the war, he had no choice but to compromise after receiving the news. After receiving 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones as compensation and hearing the family heads vow to not participate in the realm war, Night Sorrow also made a promise to not attack this region. Other than that, Night Sorrow had another request. When the reincarnation great world attacked the divine martial city in the future, this family power couldn't participate. After receiving a positive reply, Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood left. Very good, this tactic is not bad. Now, we have one less opponent. Now that we have dealt with 4 forces, there are still 3 forces that are hesitating. The Zhanwu dynasty and Fortune Gate won't compromise. Night Sorrow said as they hurried. Martial Sacred Hall, Poison King Valley, Heavenly Moon Pavilion, and Lu Clan were the 4 forces that had decided to withdraw. If only these 2 forces were left, we could kill them by force. In fact, we already have the conditions to do so, but the losses would be great. Datura said. If we can win the war with a small price, there is no need to fight to the death. I won't tell anyone that the Heavenly Moon Pavilion is withdrawing from the realm war, but smart people can see that the attitude of a force withdrawing from the realm war is obvious. Therefore, it will affect the judgment of others. Night Sorrow said. Datura and Sandalwood nodded. This was human psychology. Following the trend was everyone's awareness. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow arranged for the Angry Lin army spies and secret guards to continue spreading the news and psychological attacks. After evenly dividing the resources and drinking a pot of tea, Knight Sorrow sat down and cultivated, continuing to perfect his virtuous physique. The war was stable. Knight Sorrow felt that the Shenwu Great World would be the first to fall. The Heaven Masters were also very calm. What was the situation? This was the situation now. The situation had opened up. This was the current situation. The Shenwu Great World was in chaos. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion's forces had all retreated to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's territory. The Lu clan, who had negotiated with Knight Sorrow, also retreated. This was a signal. No one in the world was stupid. Naturally, they knew what was going on. Furthermore, many people knew that the Lu clan had posted notices on the 4 gates of the main city. Following that, another sect posted notices on the 4 gates of the main city. Knight Sorrow went to negotiate with the Lu clan once again. To put it bluntly, he had accepted their surrender. Saying that he had reconciled was giving them face. Every cultivator cared about face. There were still 4 other sections. Other than the stubborn Divine Martial Dynasty and Fortune Gate, there were still some who were uncertain about the situation. Since they had not made a choice, Knight Sorrow decided to force them to make a choice. Knight Sorrow brought Summer City to a second-rate city in the territory of the Wolf King sect. He set up an illusion array and transmission array, then returned with the 9 Heavens Legion. He first destroyed the transmission array, then washed the city lord's manor with blood. He left a message that if they did not make a choice, they would not attack a second-rate city next time. They would directly destroy the main city. After the battle, Knight Sorrow brought his forces back to the Blue Eagle Mountain. He used the Spirit Explosion Array to destroy the transmission array, making it so that the Wolf King sect did not know where their opponents were. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Knight Sorrow calmed down. Knight Sorrow brought people to kill. The other side is feeling very uncomfortable and forced to make a choice. Everyone knows that if they continue to resist, then Knight Sorrow will kill them the next time. At that time, it will be too late to regret. Red Emperor said. This is the trend of the heavens. Knight Sorrow is using this trend to suppress them. Do they submit? Do they not submit? Everyone knows the result. Sima Tianqing said with a smile. They bullied our reincarnation world. Now, they are being bullied back. Precious Fragrance said with a smile. Wait and see. We will follow his arrangements. If he needs us, we will fight. Origin Dao Heavenly Lord said. Speak. Second update. Thank you Old Bro and Director P. Chapter 1407. After drinking a pot of tea, Knight Sorrow arrived at the Sky Pillar Tycoon's tent. Here, this is good wine. Give me a pot. Li Tianba handed Knight Sorrow a pot of wine. Yi Shang smiled, took it, and took a sip. Is something wrong? Qing Emperor asked. I'm a little confused. I want to know if the Wolf King sect is waiting for us in the Shenwu Dynasty and Fortune Gate. I've sent people to scout for information. There's a connection between Heaven Masters and Heaven Masters, so they can't go. Even if sovereign kings and sovereigns go, they won't be able to find out anything. Yi Shang voiced out his dilemma. We can go. We have a way to seal our own aura. You know that. However, ambushes are useless for people at our level. At most, we can launch sneak attacks, pin them down, and surround them, Emperor Qing said. Since that's the case, there's no need for backup. Knight Sorrow nodded. Panic. The Wolf King sect was in a state of panic. The Wolf King sect was also a peak force. If the world of reincarnation were to annihilate the Wolf King sect, they wouldn't be able to hold on. Ask for peace. The Wolf King sect posted notices on all 4 gates of the main city. However, Knight Sorrow didn't go immediately. Since they had posted the notice, they wouldn't attack for the time being. He would go later. After cultivating for a few days, Night Sorrow brought Datura and Sandalwood to the Wolf King sect. At the same time, the other Sky Pillar tycoons were also nearby to prepare for war. In other words, if the Wolf King sect had an ambush, they would have to fight in advance. The world of reincarnation wasn't afraid of fighting in advance. At most, they would suffer some losses. The Wolf King sect's Heavenly Lord Wolf King had thought of asking Heavenly Lord Shenhu to join forces and kill the people who came to negotiate with him. However, his eldest disciple, Zhen Yi, reminded him that if he joined forces with Heavenly Lord Shenhu and the others, they might be able to fight against the world of reincarnation. Regardless of the result, it would be a disaster for the Wolf King sect. Even if the world of reincarnation suffered losses and their Sky Pillar tycoons died, it would be easy for them to destroy the Wolf King sect. Therefore, it would be safest to negotiate with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Lu clan. In addition, Chan Yi suggested joining forces with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Lu clan to prevent the Zhanwu dynasty from causing trouble if they withdrew from the realm war. After all, withdrawing from the realm war meant abandoning them. The Zhanwu dynasty was domineering, and Chan Yi was worried that the Zhanwu dynasty would cause trouble after the realm war. Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood arrived. Heavenly Lord Wolf King and his eldest disciple, Zhen Yi, received them. According to Night Sorrow's request, they took out the compensation for withdrawing from the realm war. The Heavenly Lord Wolf King swore an oath. Not only did he withdraw from the realm war, but Night Sorrow also requested that the Wolf King sect would not interfere with the reincarnation world's attack on the Shenwu city. Although the Heavenly Lord Wolf King was unwilling, he still swore the Heavenly Tao Oath. After receiving the compensation and the Heavenly Lord Wolf King's promise, Night Sorrow was very happy. Here, this is a gift for our visit. Please accept it. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and left it for the Heavenly Lord Wolf King. Then, he left with Datura and Sandalwood. After sending off Night Sorrow and the other two, the Heavenly Lord Wolf King stared at the wine on the table in a daze. 300,000 Saint Spirit stones and the Heavenly Tao Oath in exchange for a jar of wine. Master, you can't think of it this way. We did pay a price, but at least we survived. If they really wanted to kill us, the Wolf King sect would not be able to withstand it. The Battle God Palace and the Poison King Valley are examples. The survivor is king. The most important thing is that the Wolf King sect continues to stand strong, Zhen Yi said. The Heavenly Lord Wolf King nodded. He also understood that the reincarnation world's allied forces led by Night Sorrow wanted to win. They did not want to kill at will. However, if anyone stood in their way, the reincarnation world's allied forces would not hesitate to kill them. You stay here. I will talk to the Three Sons Lord of Heaven and the Nanhua Lord of Heaven. An alliance is necessary. Otherwise, if Lord God who comes looking for trouble, we will be alone, the Heavenly Lord Wolf King said. The Nanhua Lord of Heaven was the Lord of Heaven of the Lu clan. Night Sorrow and the other two arrived at the place where the Qing Emperor and the others were waiting. Then, the group returned to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Legit First Night Sorrow said that everything went smoothly and that he had received the compensation. You are always the one taking the risk. This time, you can keep the resources. Don't share it, the Heavenly Lord Yuan Dao said when he saw Night Sorrow take out the storage ring. Yes. You were the one who came up with the strategy and took the risk. You should take some of the resources. Sima Tiancheng also agreed. Take it. The Qing Emperor nodded. Night Sorrow smiled and accepted it. Then, he explained the situation. Currently, there were 9 top forces in the reincarnation world. The Martial God Palace and the Poison King Valley had been eliminated. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion, the Lu clan, and the Wolf King sect had withdrawn from the realm war. The Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate would not compromise. They were the leading forces in the Shenwu Great World. Therefore, they would not withdraw from the realm war easily. They wanted to maintain their reputation. Other than the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate, there were 2 other top forces that had not made a decision. They were the Heshi dynasty and the Tsangling manor. Night Sorrow mentioned the Heshi dynasty. It was a dynasty that was affiliated to the Zhanwu dynasty. It was called the Heshi dynasty. One could tell which dynasty was more powerful from the name. The Heshi dynasty was an affiliated force, but it was very powerful. They were affiliated with the Zhanwu dynasty because they were no match for the Zhanwu dynasty. This force cannot be subdued or forced to retreat. We have to destroy it and break one of the claws of the Zhanwu dynasty. Night Sorrow said. Since we can't resolve it peacefully, we have to take it down. There's nothing to hesitate about. The Qing Emperor said. I think the Heshi dynasty will be prepared. Or rather, the Zhanwu dynasty will not let us succeed so easily. Night Sorrow said. That's true. You think about how to deal with it. Then, we can discuss it. The Qing Emperor said. Actually, the main purpose of taking care of the Heshi dynasty is to kill the Heshi Heavenly Lord. We will have one less giant. For us, it will reduce the resistance of conquering the Shenwu city. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, you have a point. When do we take action? Sima Tianqing said. I plan to check out the Tsangling Manor's movements. At the same time, I plan to gather information about the Heshi dynasty. As long as we can confirm that the Heshi Heavenly Lord is in the Heshi dynasty and that there are no traps, we will kill him. Night Sorrow said. Everyone agreed with Night Sorrow's idea. Night Sorrow and Datura also set off. They wanted to check out the situation outside. After the two of them checked out the Tsangling Manor, they went to the Fortune Gate area near the Tsangling Manor. After taking care of the Tsangling Manor and the other two forces of the Heshi dynasty, their next target, Night Sorrow, was set at the Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow and Datura had both cultivated the leakless body. Their auras did not leak out, so they were not afraid of being detected. The two of them did not use the transmission array. Instead, they sneaked in through the city walls. Not long after they entered, Night Sorrow stopped. His expression became very serious. What's wrong with Night Sorrow? Datura asked, puzzled. There's an aura of the same origin as Little Kong. Night Sorrow turned to Datura and said. Speak. Third watch. Chapter 1408. What's going on? Datura was a little confused. Night Sorrow pulled Datura into a tea house and found a quiet private room. Then, he used energy to set up a barrier. Then, he explained the reason to Datura. Night Sorrow had two spatial treasures in his body, the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda and the Dragon Cauldron. Moreover, they both had artifact spirits. The two artifact spirits were very familiar with each other. At this moment, the Dragon Cauldron in Night Sorrow's clone told Night Sorrow that it had sensed an aura of the same origin as Shao Kong. Night Sorrow asked the Dragon Cauldron's artifact spirit to confirm again and again. The Dragon Cauldron told Night Sorrow that it was correct. Although there was a slight difference in aura, the mysterious aura was correct. What's going on? Isn't your main body using the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda? Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. That's right. I can confirm that the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda is with my main body. What does this mean? It means that the missing part of the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda that I've been searching for is here, in Fortune City. Night Sorrow was a little agitated because his train of thought in the profound heaven world was not right. Could it be the Fortune Immortal Pavilion? Datura also stood up. It's hard to say. I can confirm that the thing is here. Let's search for it first. If we can confirm what it is, it would be best if we can find it. Night Sorrow said. There might be some heavenly Tao artifacts in the Great Thousand Worlds, but very few possess them. Currently, Night Sorrow had only heard of them a few times. In the Heaven and Earth Pavilion of the Black-Yellow Great World, he heard the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World say that there was a heavenly Tao artifact in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. However, countless years had passed and no one had been able to obtain it. Also, why was Heavenly Lord Shenhu so strong? Why was he able to fight Datura, who had a high cultivation level, refined the soul cultivation liquid, and cultivated the not-leaking true body? It was because he had a heavenly Tao artifact, a soul-defensive heavenly Tao artifact. The space-time pagoda was a divine artifact of the heavenly Tao, but it was damaged. Currently, it was only a support artifact. Night Sorrow naturally wanted to restore it. Night Sorrow and Datura slowly approached a certain direction under the guidance of the Dragon Cauldron's weapon spirit. After passing through the Fortune City's central district, Huang Xiaolong arrived at the eastern district. After walking for a while, Night Sorrow saw a wild garden. However, he stopped in his tracks. Night Sorrow discovered that there was a large array here, a very high-level array. In addition, the Dragon Cauldron could sense that the Qi was nearby, but because of the array, it was unable to determine the location. Even though Night Sorrow was unwilling, he knew that he could only retreat. The array could be broken, but it would cause a huge commotion, and it could only be done when the Fortune Gate was annihilated. Night Sorrow pulled the confused Datura away. The two of them left the area and returned to the tea house where they had been chatting. Why did you stop? That array can't stop you, we'll kill whoever tries to stop us. Datura said. It's not appropriate, that would alert the enemy. If the other side is alerted, it will be very troublesome. We can't act rashly, and if we do, we must kill with one strike. Night Sorrow said. Datura thought for a moment and nodded. She knew that they could not act rashly, because the missing part of the Heavenly Tao artifact was too important. Everything here is in order, looks like the Fortune Gate will fight to the end. The news we spread did not affect this place at all, let's go back. There's no need to continue watching. Night Sorrow did not intend to stay any longer. His purpose in coming here was to see the Fortune Gate situation, and he had already seen it clearly. On top of that, he also had a big harvest. He had been searching for the missing part of the space-time pagoda for a long time. Night Sorrow and Datura did not take the transmission array, and instead, they left the city by the same route. The Bufang true body could conceal his presence from a distance, but it would not work if he was too close. Night Sorrow and Datura did not take the transmission array because there was a high possibility that Bai Taesong's avatar was guarding the area around the transmission array, and there was a possibility that they would be discovered if they appeared. After leaving the Fortune City, Night Sorrow set up a transmission array in a secluded area. The two of them used the transmission array to return to the Blue Eagle Mountain, and arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and said, I really didn't expect to find something like this. You've been searching for so long, it's about time for you to appear. Actually, we can gather our forces and kill our way over to find the item. Datura said. She was an impatient person. No, the overall situation of the World War is very important. Let's wait for news from the River West Dynasty first. After dealing with the River West Dynasty, only the Tsangling Manor is left. You and I have both seen that the Tsangling Manor is in a mess right now. As long as we kill the River West King, the Tsangling Manor will collapse on its own, and only the Fortune Gate and the Zhanwu Dynasty will be left. Although Night Sorrow was very anxious, he still had the upper hand in his heart, and did not plan to search for the Fortune Gate immediately. Datura nodded. She was anxious for Night Sorrow, but she also understood that Night Sorrow's thoughts were right, and his decision was also correct. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Datura, and told Datura that when attacking the Fortune Gate, only their own people could do it. Otherwise, it would be difficult to distribute the spoils of war. He did not want to take advantage of the alliance, and he also had to put this matter on the table. We have enough people on our side to destroy the Fortune Gate. This matter can also be said clearly, because the Fortune Gate is destined to be yours. Don't bring this matter up in the future, or you will have a bad reputation. Datura said. Yes, the Heavenly Tao artifact is very important to everyone. Although those big shots are very rational, if they have any thoughts in their hearts, they will not be harmonious. Night Sorrow was also worried because this was not an ordinary material resource. Let's talk to them later. We can't let go of this matter. Datura said. Alright, I will not ask the Alliance to help because this is my own matter. Night Sorrow stood up and led Datura to the big tent at the side of the camp. The two of you are back, have a cup of tea first. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang stood up and poured tea for Night Sorrow and Datura. Night Sorrow looked at the big shots in the tent and explained the situation of the Tsangling Manor and Fortune Gate. The Fortune Gate is also going, it is very dangerous. Qing Emperor's eyes were filled with worry because Fortune Gate Heavenly Monarch by Tai Song was very strong, and was different from West River Heavenly Monarch. The Fortune Gate is preparing for war, and they will not reconcile. Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. So what? If they can't reconcile, then kill. They are the ones who started the World War, so we will beat them until they are convinced. Li Tianba's words were very direct. There is another thing that I want to tell everyone here today. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. What is it? Heavenly Monarch Yuandao nodded at Night Sorrow. The Heavenly Dao artifact that I have is incomplete, and everyone knows that. I found another part during this trip, and I will think of a way to get it back. This cannot be counted in the Alliance's resources, so I hope everyone can understand. Night Sorrow said directly. Then, Sandalwood looked at Night Sorrow and made a decision. As a senior brother, he would help Night Sorrow in battle. Speak. The fourth update has arrived. Today's update has been completed. Recently, my condition is not good, and I can only write one chapter after sitting in front of the computer for 4 to 5 hours. Please understand, you're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.